It's always a special once-a-year event when the former New York residents, the Los Angeles Dodgers, come back to play in New York. Well, they're here. They cost over $2 billion. Their payroll's over $200 million. But the Dodgers have been stumbling along under their New York icon in the early season. At Citi Field in New York, the New York Mets play the Los Angeles Dodgers. Tuesday Night Baseball is presented by Citi. And a pleasant good evening, everybody, and welcome to Citi Field. Gary Cohen, Keith Hernandez, Ron Darling with you tonight as the Mets open a three-game series against the Los Angeles Dodgers. For the Dodgers tonight, one of the best left-handers in baseball goes the former Cy Young Award winner Clayton Kershaw against a Met left-hander who aspires to the same level.
Well, he Cy Young 2 years ago, second last year, and he is just outstanding. His first start this year, he came out of the gates, hit a home run, pitched a 1-0 shutout. After that, he's been kind of sketchy. In fact, his last start, he gave up 3 home runs, but you never see these kind of pitchers. Usually have back-to-back bad games.
The Dodgers started the year with 8 starting pitchers. 3 of them have gone down. One's been traded, so they're having problems in that regard, but even more problems offensively as they've stumbled along through the early season at 8-10.
Well, they've gone 8-10 on the season. They just broke a 6-game losing streak. They're getting it from Adrian Gonzalez and Carl Crawford, and Mark Ellis at the top of the order. Both have on-base percentages over 400, but they're 14th in runs scored and 14th in home runs. And a lot of guys that are struggling right now, the big guys, are Matt Kemp and Andre Ethier. Both are hitting under 100 or slightly above with runners in scoring position, and they've had 20 chances, 20 at-bats in those situations. So for them to pick it up, they're going to need it from Kemp and Ethier.
As for the Mets, they've won their first 3 home series for the first time since 2006, and they try and keep it going against the Dodgers in the first of 3 at Citi Field. All the action coming your way on SNY. By Citi, proud sponsor of the New York Mets. By Geico. By AT&T, rethink possible. By Heineken. And by Verizon Fios quantum internet technology that makes you feel superhuman. That's powerful. Enter now for a chance to win a Mets Empire Luxury Suite Night at Citi Field for you and 15 friends. Visit the Mets Facebook page at facebook.com/Mets to enter. Here's your Mets upcoming schedule. You can listen to all Mets games on Sports Radio 66 and Sports Radio 101.9 WFAN. Night game tomorrow with the Dodgers with Matt Harvey on the mound. Day game Thursday, and then the Phillies are in for 3 over the weekend before the Mets make their next road trip to Miami and Atlanta next week. A pair of left-handers, Clayton Kershaw, 25 years old, John Neese, 26 years old, going head-to-head tonight at Citi Field as the Mets try and get off to a fast start against the Dodgers. First pitch coming right up. To a good start, so is Adrian Gonzalez, but most of the rest of the lineup struggling right now for LA. They're averaging just 3 runs per game, second to last in the National League in runs scored. Meanwhile, the Mets are leading Major League Baseball in runs per game, one of the reasons for their 9-8 start. And John Neese, it's chilly tonight, but for this night it feels like a sauna for Jonathan.
Well, we spent a lot of time in the open on Clayton Kershaw, but you can see by the Caesars numbers so far, Jonathan's got off to a good start, especially when you consider that 2 of his starts were in Minnesota and Colorado with the weather around 30 degrees. So you're right, Gary. It's going to be much easier for him to grip the baseball. The key, though, for him, how he handles Crawford, how he handles Gonzalez, both left-handed hitters. Left-handers are hitting over 400 off Jonathan so far this year.
And we'll take a look at the Lexus Metropolitan defense. And Cal Gill, of course, with that platoon out in center. He gets his 9th start in center field. Bird in right. Duda is really the only steady out there in left field. Turner gets a start at first base as Ike Davis gets sat down against the very tough left-hander, Kershaw.
Mark McGuire, the former hitting coach in St. Louis, now hitting coach in Los Angeles, or I should say co-hitting coach. He had a left-handed counterpart in L.A., in St. Louis, and he has one with the Dodgers as well.
Mike Aldrete and now John Valentin.
Tuesday Night Baseball on SNY is brought to you by Citi. Welcome to Citi Tuesdays, where Citi credit and debit card holders enjoy savings and benefits at Citi Field. Learn more at Mets.com/Citi Tuesdays. John Neese gets ready for his 5th start of the year. 52 degrees as we approach game time. So after 28-degree temperatures in Denver in his last start, feels like he's gotten in the hot tub.
Although it's not really warm out today, but it's supposed to get a little warmer, and tomorrow it's supposed to reach maybe the 70s.
By the way, the Braves and Rockies played in Colorado today after getting snowed out last night. Their game time temperature today, 23 degrees, a new record. First pitch of the night, so Carl Crawford is outside. Crawford starts today 10th in the National League in batting. After missing most of last year with Tommy John surgery, came over in the trade with the Red Sox last summer. And he throws the fastball by him 1-1. The Dodgers took on an enormous amount of payroll when they made that trade with Boston, picking up Adrian Gonzalez and Carl Crawford in that deal. Left it out to left field, and Lucas Duda right there waiting for it. And that's the first out of the night. Folks still coming in to Citi Field on a cool Tuesday night.
Well, in the old days, Gary used to watch him get off the 7 train over the right field fence at Shea.
Come down those steps, right?
That was always a great view, a great sight to see.
You couldn't see them from first base.
I couldn't, but my first experience with it was the World Series in '69 when they never televised the Mets on Game of the Week.
It's Josh Beckett, who will not pitch in this series. Mets will face 3 left-handers. 2-0 to Mark Ellis, the 35-year-old former Oakland Athletic, hitting at .311 on the year. Perfect number 2 hitter in this powerful Dodger lineup that's yet to click on all cylinders.
Well, it looks like they're going to get Hanley Ramirez back sooner than they thought.
He's with the team, has been taking batting practice.
They were expecting the thumb injury he suffered in the World Baseball Classic.
They weren't expecting him back till late May. He may be back in a week, 10 days.
Well, they need him. The left side of their infield is really struggling. And he throws a strike 3-2.
I was talking to Don Mattingly. He said that his hitting is fine, but he had Hanley throwing balls to him at first base. He was catching him, and he said he was very erratic with his throws, which would make sense with a thumb injury.
Well, there's been some conversation as to where Hanley's going to play when he comes back. Of course, he was a shortstop for most of his career, moved to third base last year with the Marlins to make room for Jose Reyes. And frankly, they could use him at either position the way things have been going. Ellis fouls one back, but it looks like he'll go back and play shortstop. Either way, what they need is the Hanley Ramirez of 3 or 4 years ago.
They need that 300 hitter who is going to drive for power.
There's the big man right there, Don Mattingly. Boy, what a great career he had over there in the Bronx.
Lined over short and a base hit for Mark Ellis. So the Dodgers have the first base runner of the night with Matt Kemp coming up.
Well, down and in fastball, wants it away. I bet you it has too much play. It sure does. And he's all over it.
Big leg kick.
Yep. 35 years old, Ellis.
A winning player, though.
So here is Kemp, who has shown some signs over the last couple of days of starting to get his season going. Had 3 hits yesterday against the Orioles. Had 3 hits in the opening game of that series as well. Up to .235 for the year. But the numbers he's put up so far, .235, no homers, 6 RBIs, in stark contrast with the way he started last year. In the first 18 games last year, Kemp was hitting .435, 9 homers, 22 RBIs, and a .924 slugging percentage. Well, one of the better starts anybody's ever gotten off to.
Well, remember, the year before, a lot of us, well, I did, I thought he was the MVP of the league in 2011. Came out in April 2012, said, I'll show you, and then suffered those injuries.
He's yet to hit a home run, as you can see.
And he throws the cutter inside. He's behind on Kemp 3-0. Adrian Gonzalez waiting on deck. Well, remember, Kemp had off-season shoulder surgery. He hurt the shoulder crashing into the fence in Colorado in late August last year. Played with it for most of the rest of the season, and then had the surgery in the off-season. And you have to wonder at this point whether that is still having an impact on his hitting.
Well, I talked to Don Mattingly about it. He said that he played for about a month with that bad shoulder, developed some bad habits, took him into the season. But like you said, Gary, seems to be coming out of it.
Well, just to take that a step further, when you have an injury and you favor it, you're not swinging properly. And it's his lead shoulder, his front shoulder. So it's left shoulder, and that's the one that gets the most rotation in a swing. So if you start favoring it for a little bit of pain, then that's what's going to get you into a bad habit.
Second straight 3-2 count for Neese, and he checks in on Ellis.
Mattingly was saying that because of that front shoulder pain, what he was doing is that at contact, now he always lets go of the bat with one hand, but he was doing it even earlier, which just took away all of his power.
Ellis not going, and Kemp hits a double play ball to Tejada. Murphy with the turn, and the Mets turn the 6-4-3 double play to get through the inning. So Mattingly chooses not to send the runner, and it helps the Mets cause. Mets come to bat against Kershaw when we come back. Last year, as Terry Collins tries to stuff more right-handed batting into the lineup tonight. So Justin Turner plays first base. Colin Cowgill's in center field. Mets have another right-hand hitter on the bench as well. They added Juan Lagares, who is with the team. Kirk Neuenhuis sent down to AAA against Clayton Kershaw.
Well, it is the Toyota numbers for this season, but you really have to look at his career. 63 and 39, 6 shutouts. Cy Young Award in 2011, second last season.
And the Mets have had trouble even scratching against Kershaw. His first ever start against the Mets in 2008. They beat him up a little bit, knocked him out in the 4th inning. But his 5 starts since, 5-0 with a 0.50 ERA. That's how dominant Kershaw has been against the Mets.
2-0 here at Citi Field over 3 starts. He's throwing hard. No, I don't believe that 84 there. That was a fastball. Tejada's leading off for the first time this season. And the reason there is that he's hitting 294 against left-handers, really struggling against the right-handers under 200.
And 3 for 5 in his career against Kershaw. Colin Cowgill's been doing a lot of leading off. He's hitting 8th today. And the 1-2 is slapped foul. There's your 92-mile-an-hour fastball. Daniel Murphy on deck, then David Wright. Mets averaging 5.8 runs per game. That leads the major leagues. Mets been getting on base. They've been hitting home runs. Tejada lays off the curveball, which is a huge key to success when you face Kershaw.
Kershaw, I was talking to him a couple days ago. He said his last start, he didn't have any feel for his curveball. Gave up a couple of home runs on that pitch.
He faced the Padres and lasted just 5 1/3, allowed 5 runs, 7 hits in that game, a 7-2 loss. 2-2 to Tejada, and Ruben fights that one off.
In the 2006 draft, there were 5 pitchers taken before Kershaw, all of them from college, and Dodgers said they're going to take a chance on a high school kid from Dallas, Texas, and they made the right choice with Kershaw.
He was the 7th overall pick in that draft, and despite the fact that he was coming out of high school, he made it to the big leagues just 2 years later.
He's throwing hard. Pitchers in that draft with Luke Hochevar, who was with Kansas City, Greg Reynolds, who started with Colorado, Brad Lincoln, Pittsburgh, Brandon Morrow, who now is in Toronto, and Andrew Miller, who's moved around and now is with the Red Sox in the bullpen.
Another 3-2 count for Tejada, Gary.
8th pitch of the at bat, and Ruben takes strike 3 called. Fastball down looking. So Tejada, who's had so much success on 3 and 2 counts, not that time.
This is right down the middle, low, knee high, but at plenty of plate. Not a question. That ball kind of ran in.
Well, 4-seam fastball gets right on top of it, and you know when you're facing the first hitter and it's 3-2, you know what you do? Throw it as hard as you can down the middle. Take your chances.
Pee-wee.
That's the legacy.
Is that Charlie Dressen right there, the manager in the middle? Right here, is that Charlie Dressen?
I think it is. Duke Snyder to the bottom left.
Pee-wee Reese on top.
And of course, the great Jackie on the right bottom.
Daniel Murphy, 8th in the National League in batting, hitting at .348. And hitting .375 early in the season against left-handers. This is not your average left-hander. And that curveball bounces away, 2-1. Branch Rickey getting the signature of Jackie Robinson on his first contract with the ever-present cigar.
Still have Cubans then.
That's true.
Kramer had Cubans, but they were really Dominicans.
Have you seen 42 yet? I just saw it the other day.
Did you like it?
You know, you leave it feeling uplifted, but if you're a baseball man, you see some things in it that are not true.
Well, a lot of the reviews basically said it's a hagiography, that it's very uplifting, but the flaws are not really explored. Second straight 3 and 2 count for Kershaw, and Murphy fights that one off. Well, the Mets doing what they do so well, forcing a starter to throw a lot of pitches early in a game. Ronnie mentioned Kershaw going 9 in his first start of the season. To do that these days, you have to have fast early innings. 7th pitch to Murphy, and he pops that one foul.
And we'll take a look at the Coors Light. Los Angeles Dodgers. And of course, Gonzalez can not only hit, he can pick it, as you can see with the gold gloves for proof. There's a Hairston Jr. over at third base. We're familiar with that. Scott, of course, here last year with the Cubs, this year now.
Murphy hits one out to left field, and Crawford is over. Was that your Arlo Guthrie form of saying Los Angeles?
Yes. How'd you guess?
Flying down to Los Angeles.
I've worked it out all afternoon.
Very well done. So 2 out and nobody on. Now David Wright. David off to a very good start on his season, but a surprisingly difficult start against lefties. And obviously it's a small sample, but David, who normally tears up left-handers, is just 3 for 18 against left-handed pitching.
You know, I think we talked about it earlier in the year that last season David's numbers have gone down since the beginning of his career, and also his power numbers against the left-handed pitching have gone down also.
Little looper on the right side, and Gonzalez comes over to grab it. So Kershaw has himself a 1-2-3 opening inning. No score at Citi Field after 1. Dodger with 200 or more strikeouts in 3 straight seasons. Who are the other 4?
Well, one might be in the building, right?
So that's LA Dodgers.
Yeah,
so it didn't go back to Brooklyn.
So one might be in the building.
At least one is in the building.
Great.
We know that. Adrian Gonzalez leads off for LA. Gonzalez second in the National League with that .385 average, but only 2 home runs. Last year only 18 home runs. His numbers in the power department down from where he used to be in his early days with the Padres. Former first overall pick for the Marlins back 13 years ago, and he takes low for ball 1. You mentioned about Nice trying to get the left-hand hitters Crawford and Gonzalez out. They both have been swinging the bat very well against lefties so far this year. Jerry Hairston Jr. on deck, then Andre Ethier for LA in the second. Gonzalez always a good left field hitter.
Well, the Mets have their defense out with Davis playing in the hole, and I've been watching Gonzalez's at bats, and right now he's middle of the plate away, going to left field a lot. You see those batting averages. Chris Johnson, the surprise.
It's a lot of surprises going on in Atlanta.
Right.
By the way, Freddie Freeman came off the DL today for the Braves. Had the oblique injury, went 1 for 3 in that first game in Colorado. They're playing a doubleheader, Keith.
Oh,
you know what that's like in Colorado?
Yes, I do.
There's ball 4, and Gonzalez draws a leadoff walk.
Only to announce, though, not to play.
So here's Hairston playing third base tonight. Luis Cruz was the incumbent at third. He's hitting .087. So playing somewhat less now, and Hairston getting his second start at third base. Jerry Hairston now 36 years old. He's played for 9 different big league teams. And through a 1-game suspension in that dust-up between the Dodgers and the Padres that cost the Dodgers Zach Greinke. As he's having trouble throwing strikes here in the second, and he bounces the curveball.
Interesting choice. First time through. Nice with the curveball first pitch to Hairston. You know, one thing I've seen about John Buck, and I've heard all the plaudits coming from the bench about John and how he's handling the staff. A lot of breaking balls early that he likes to call from his pitchers.
Well, there's an old saying about catchers is that they often like to call what they can't hit
Or have difficulty.
Yeah.
That was told to me by Lou Brock, my rookie, when I first started getting going. Because I mean, you're a rookie, you're just trying to get your feet wet. You don't need, that's a little advanced, you know, that's calculus or trigonometry for me.
And you're still on what? Just
I barely got algebra arithmetic.
No trinomials.
I had no aptitude for math.
Well, Nice has been behind everybody in the early going. Now he's behind on Hairston 2-0 with Ethier on deck. And he throws that one inside, and now it's 3-0. John excelled in his first 2 starts of the season in the cold weather in the last 2, and he walks back-to-back hitters to start this second inning. So Gonzalez and now Hairston are aboard, and Andre Ethier coming up. And Nice, who earlier in his career would have innings like this where he would just lose his concentration and walk a couple of guys, has not been that pitcher for a long time now.
I think he's past that, but Dan Warren's got to be seeing the same thing I'm seeing, is that I don't know how to explain it. He's cutting off his pitches. What does that mean? He is not following through the catcher. In fact, as soon as he lets go of the pitch, he's kind of decelerating. That's the reason that he's not able to find the strike zone.
What causes that to happen?
Aiming the baseball.
Yep.
Here's Ethier, and he takes a strike.
In layman terms, it's called aiming.
Yep. Ethier hitting just .230. And he tries to hold the swing, and he went around.
See what Andre Ethier, he said you got to check the Mike Winters, who called that, the home plate umpire. See the motion here. John Nice, when he's going at his best, he just uses finger pressure and the grip, and he just lets it go. When he's struggling, as he has the first 2 hitters, he's kind of just aiming the ball. Now, that That's the overhead. Mike Winter, you think he went there, Keith?
I did not.
Yeah.
And notice how Ethier's choking up.
Strike 3 call. Got him looking at the cutter.
He's going to get run.
So Ethier didn't like strike 2, and they didn't really like strike 3 either. And Neese has his first strikeout.
I kind of like strike 3. I thought it was a strike on the outside corner. Knees. Let's see. That's a strike.
Does it catch the front of that plate? No. No.
Missed?
I think you liked it from up here, Keith. I'm not sure you would have liked it from Ethier's perspective.
That was the call. He argued about the check swing. Anything close was going to be called. That's what that was.
Now A.J. Ellis, the Dodger catcher, and he takes below the knees. Ellis, a guy who always has a high on base percentage. In fact, right now, tied for the major league lead in pitches seen per plate appearance. He's falls behind him 2-0. So a consistent theme in this inning for John. Gonzalez at second, Hairston at first with 1 out. No score in the second. You see those strikeout numbers way down and the walks up. But again, the weather he's pitched in those last couple of starts, you almost have to say he's starting from scratch tonight.
He had a more difficult time in Minneapolis, Ronnie, than he did in Denver.
Yeah. Well, he had a chance to win in Denver. You know, a couple of pitches here or there. He wins that game 3-2 instead of losing it.
He left the game down 3-2, and it ended up 11-3.
And he got a 5-inning W in Minneapolis.
And scored 10 runs in the first 2 innings in that game. So
he
couldn't throw his curveball or his cutter in Minneapolis, and still was able to muddle through for 5.
And it was a muddle for everybody.
Ellis lays off, and now Neese behind again, 3-1.
Another 2-1 changeup there from Neese that does not find the plate.
The number 8 hitter is Justin Sellers, the shortstop. So Neese trying to find himself here in the second inning against the lower part of the batting order, looking for the ground ball that he got in the first inning. And instead, he walks his third man in the inning.
So he opts for a cutter.
And that'll get Dan Warthen's attention as he heads out to the mound.
You notice one thing about his cutter, and again, I'm talking about cutting off the pitches. When John throws his cutter, it moves on a plane on right-handers right across the plate. It doesn't dip. It doesn't slide. This one is almost bottoming out, going down and bouncing up to Buck. So this is a pitch that usually comes straight in on the right-hander. This one is bottoming out. A nice take there by Ellis.
And it was low.
Yep. So it's almost turning into more of a slider than a cutter. Is that what you're saying?
He's just getting on top of it and just and not. He's trying to overthrow it now.
So now Justin Sellers, who's gotten the bulk of the time at shortstop with Hanley Ramirez out. Sellers, the son of former Red Sox pitcher Jeff Sellers. Bases loaded, 1 out. The number 8 hitter at the plate, Kershaw, not a bad hitter on deck. So a big spot for Neese here to try and work out of, and he goes right down the middle of Sellers, 0-1.
Defense for the Mets in the outfield pretty deep. The book on Sellers is not a lot of power.
He's 1 out away from getting the pitcher up and getting out of a jam with no runs.
Sellers hitting just 174, 1 for 10 with runners in scoring position. And runs that cutter in on him, it's 0-2.
That one's better. You see how it's almost traveling on the same plane? That's what fools the hitters.
To Sellers, and a little looper down the right field line, and that's going to fall in for a base hit. Gonzalez scores. Hairston comes to the plate, and it's 2-0 LA. Excuse me, only 1 run scores on the play as Gonzalez comes in. 1-0 Dodgers. Hairston stopped at third.
Well, Texas Leaguer right here, and not a great read from Hairston on second base.
I mean, this was if someone's going to catch this, they had to be playing way shallow into the opposite field.
I thought that Gonzalez, Keith, maybe stayed on third base so long that Hairston wasn't able to go. You know how like Gonzalez might have been tagging there if we take a look at the base runners.
I mean, he barely got home ahead of the throw himself. So now Kershaw bats with the bases loaded and throws bunts. It's an odd thing to do with the bases full.
It's not a good thing to do either. Maybe he was just faking it because John's been a little wild this inning.
Kershaw 2 for 9, including that opening day home run.
Playing kind of deep in center field for a pitcher. Lifetime batting average around 128. Not a threat really up at the plate.
Let's go back and look at the runners on that little base hit.
No. Well, actually, Harrison did everything right. He did everything. He just didn't read it. If he breaks and just realize and makes a decision that it's going to drop a little bit sooner, if you know where the right fielder is, then you score. Someone with his speed, he can still fly.
Did you watch Tim Wallach, the third base coach? He didn't really give Hairston a lot of guidance.
No, he just held his hand out. And Adrian Gonzalez could have ran home with a little more urgency, too.
Well, Tim Wallach was not very animated at third base, and that's how he played too when he was at third base for the Expos. He was very quiet and easygoing.
2-2 now to Kershaw.
He was some kind of player, Tim Wallach. Could field his position, hit with power.
Doubles machine in Olympic Stadium.
Yeah. He had all that trouble with Doc, remember? Welcome to the club. Just not very animated. So, just like a police officer at an intersection.
He throws a 2-2 curveball to the pitcher with the bases loaded, and now he's got himself a full count. The numbers on Tim Wallach. He was a tough guy to get out in the middle of a very good lineup.
He had a very odd swing too. I could never figure out his swing. He's a good breaking ball hitter.
3-2. Kershaw dribbles one foul.
3 gold gloves for Wallach also. That pitch choice, and you mentioned it, Gary, very interesting. After Kershaw hit one over his own dugout on the fastball, they went with the curveball at 2-2. When you have the bases loaded, 2-2 is like 3-2. Don't ever get even to 3-2 because crazy things can happen.
A run is in. Bases loaded, 1 out. 3-2 to Kershaw. Double play ball to Murphy. And Tejada will do the rest. 4-6-3. Second double play in 2 innings behind John Neese. The Dodgers get a run after the 3 walks. 1-0 LA. Media night tomorrow at Citi Field. Tickets include food and beverage, a t-shirt, iPhone Skin It, and a chance to throw out the first pitch. Visit Mets.com for tickets. I asked Keith yesterday, do you know when they have social media night, do the people actually speak to each other face to face, or do they communicate on their devices?
They just come in back to back.
John Neese walked 3 in that second inning. A little befuddled as to what was going on out there.
Well, he's mad at himself, obviously. No pitcher wants to walk 3 guys in an inning.
And it cost him a run. Now John Buck will lead off the home second against Clayton Kershaw. Buck leading the National League with 22 runs batted in. 7 homers, 22 RBIs in the 15 games he started behind the plate. Since the Major League started tracking RBIs in 1920, no other player has had that many homers and RBIs in his first 15 games started behind the plate. Nobody.
Again.
Pops up the first pitch he sees from Kershaw, and Gonzalez will handle it. 1 pitch and 1 out.
Well, the gun has got Kershaw and low 90s, and I tell you what, from my view, which is your view at home, folks, that camera behind center field, I think he's throwing a little harder than that. I mean, he's bringing it up there, looks like to me, and heavy.
There's that little jump on his fastball that you can't teach.
Here's Marlon Byrd, who's had uncanny success against Kershaw. He's 6 for 9 against him.
He's got a little bit of a herky-jerky, a slight bit of the unusual in his motion. Very calm going back and fluid, and then he just kind of jerks it at you real quick. Almost like he goes on his toes, Ronnie,
What happens, watch his bottom foot. I mean, his right foot. Up, that's normal for every pitcher. Now look at the pause. He kind of just places it there, pauses, and like Keith said, then jumps at you with that 6'5" frame.
And he's got that big right shoulder lift, which really hides the ball well.
You show me a guy who has good curveball, I'll show you a guy with a big shoulder lift. Don Sutton, the guy you mention all the time. Those guys are the ones with a good breaking ball.
In 2011, he not only won the Cy Young, he was the rare pitching Triple Crown winner. He led the league in wins, in ERA, and in strikeouts.
5 complete games that year, 2 shutouts.
Led the league in ERA again last year. He is one of the elite pitchers in the game.
If he'd have been pitching back in the 70s and the 80s, in those 33 starts, he would have completed probably 22 games, 24.
If you're talking about all the left-handers in the game right now, there's Kershaw, there's David Price, maybe Sabathia is still in that category.
I would put Chris Sale in that category. Maybe not that accomplished, but on his way. Chris Sale has that kind of stuff. But as far as accomplished, perennial guy is going to be a Cy Young Award top 5 every year. It's Price and Kershaw.
You got to put the giant left-hander in there.
Oh, Bumgarner, you like him?
I like Bumgarner.
I put Bumgarner might be in Chris Sale's category.
Yeah, they're both getting there, but I don't think they've quite gotten there yet. As Bird goes around for strike 3, second strikeout for Kershaw, and there are 2 out of the inning.
Honestly, the guys that I'm surprised who's not in there, as you see the overhead, Keith.
Yep, he did.
And maybe he won't be now because he's got his old pitching coach back as manager.
John Lester.
John Lester.
Yeah, I knew you were going to say that. He's off to a great start, that's for sure. So Kershaw's retired the first 5, and now Lucas Duda continuing his fine beginning to this year. 3rd in the National League in on-base percentage, 7th in slugging percentage. Interesting, isn't it, that Ike Davis is on the bench more and more against left-handers, and Duda is in there every day. And the curveball from Kershaw for a strike, and it's 0-2.
Well, there you go. Now watch, if you're the hitter, now watch the shoulder lift.
Also, try to pick up the ball. Where is it?
Look at where's the ball coming from. And so you really, as a hitter, have to sit back there and really just go up the middle. And really, because you got to wait that split second longer to pick that ball up out of the hand when a guy has that herky-jerky like he does.
I mean, he lowers his foot and then he raises it again. I'm trying to think who else does that. I mean, Rob Nen used to skip his foot off the mound. And Duda's down on strikes on a 94-mile-an-hour fastball. Kershaw looking awfully tough early on. 6 up and 6 down with 3 strikeouts. As he takes care of Duda, 1-0 Dodgers after 2. Carl Crawford leads off the 3rd inning against John Neese. Crawford flying to left his first time up. Neese struggling through the 2nd inning, in which he walked 3, gave up a bloop single, and that cost him a run. And the way Kershaw's going, he may not be able to afford to give up much else, and he runs that one in on Crawford. 1-2.
That's that cutter that does not cut. It's almost like a backup slider, Keith.
Yes. You've got to pitch inside.
And the curveball dribbled right back to Neese. And Turner stays on the bag, 1 away. Here's your AT&T trivia question. We asked who are the 4 other Dodgers with 3 straight 200 strikeout seasons. Well, you know Koufax is one.
Of course, Drysdale, of course.
Nomo and Fernando.
I thought perhaps Bill Singer might be in there, but Bill Singer hurt his arm.
And I had Sutton instead of Nomo. So
Rusty Staub said that Bill Singer was mean. He used to throw at you on purpose and try to hurt you.
Did you ever face someone like that?
Yes. The Nasty Boys in Cincinnati.
Really?
They tried to hurt you.
Dibble, Charlton, those guys?
Yeah, Charlton hit me one time in Cincinnati I was not very appreciative.
Not Randy.
No, Randy wasn't there. Randy was with us.
No, but he's one of the Nasty Boys.
Oh, well, he was the less nasty. Least nasty.
I always found Randy very entertaining.
I liked Randy, I tell you.
Ellis had a base hit to left his first time up, and now Neese behind in the count again. Well, this is only the 11th batter that John has faced. It's already his 7th 3-ball count. It's a hard way to function. Ellis gets ahead of one. The nether reaches 3-2. Mark Ellis first drafted out of the University of Florida by the Royals back in 1999. Around a long time. That one's off Neese's foot. He doesn't know where it is, and he is hurt. And safe at first is Ellis, but the greater concern for Neese after that comebacker hit him in the leg. Grabbing at that right ankle or Achilles.
You know, you think of this as kind of innocent, a ground ball back up the middle that hits you. But remember, Andy Pettitte last year had a similar ground ball hit him in the ankle and broke his ankle. Caught him on the inside, looks like of the right leg.
Might have got it on the Achilles tendon because he's kind of was wrapped around. No.
Ray Ramirez, the trainer, out with John.
Well, Dan Wharton's going to hustle back in the dugout to get someone up.
Well, it's about the last thing the Mets needed right now. They've had two pitchers at the top of their rotation functioning well in Harvey and Nice. And now there's every chance that Nice might have to leave this game in the third inning.
Well, he's going to have to try to stand on it and walk on it. See?
He's coming out. There's no question about that. So John Nice hobbling off toward the dugout. And Robert Carson, just recalled on Sunday from Las Vegas, will be the long man out of the bullpen, as they will take Nice down for further observation and figure out exactly what the extent of that injury is. So Carson will get all the time he needs to warm up with the injury to Nice. 1-0 Dodgers in the third. The call to the bullpen brought to you by Verizon Fios. We'll be right back to Citi Field. The flavorful hot sauce with the iconic wooden cap. By ESPN New York Radio 98.7 FM. And by Bud Light, it's the sure sign of a good time. Here we go. Now, Rob Carson will get as long as he needs to warm up, his first big league appearance of this season.
Well, his in Las Vegas only gave up a run in 7 2/3 innings pitched, so he was pitching well.
Walked 2 and struck out 7 in those outings in Vegas, but of much greater concern to Terry Collins and Dan Wharton right now, the condition of Jonathan Nice. Nice hit on the lower right leg. Ankle, Achilles, I'm not entirely sure.
Keith has it a little higher. I thought it might have caught him right on that ankle bone, but it's going to be interesting to Well, we'll probably get the word at some point.
It's worth noting, by the way, that the Mets, who brought up Carson on Sunday, designated Aaron Laffey for assignment. Laffey had made a couple of starts for them. Laffey today was claimed by the Blue Jays. He's out of the Mets organization. So if they need another starter, it's going to be somebody else, whether that's Colin McHugh, whether that's Zach Wheeler, where there was talk today about the wonderful start that Rafael Montero has gotten off to in Double-A and the possibility that maybe he would be eligible for promotion. And you don't know what direction the Mets might go, and we don't even know if Nice is that badly hurt that he's going to have to miss a start. But certainly the speculation starts to begin.
Well, the thing about Montero is that he doesn't walk anybody, and he seems very polished in Double-A. Now, certainly it is quite a jump from Double-A to Triple-A, but Zach Wheeler has gotten off to a slow start, so I'm sure that they want him to get more seasoning. And the other guys you mentioned have had some time up here and some experience, but the Mets can't afford to get too many injuries, especially that starting staff.
Well, look at what's happened to the Dodgers already this year, with Greinke on the shelf for half a season, and now Chad Billingsley is going to have Tommy John surgery and miss the rest of the season.
Capuano hurt his calf.
Right. So and they traded Aaron Harang because they had too many starting pitchers. So Ted Lilly's going to make his first start of the year, coming off shoulder surgery tomorrow night against Matt Harvey, and then Hyunjin Ryu, another left-hander, will go on Thursday for the Dodgers against Jeremy Hefner. So, if Nice is out for a start or whatever it turns out to be, it's even that much more that goes on the shoulders of Matt Harvey at the front of this Mets rotation. So now Carson to face Matt Kemp with a runner on, and he throws a first pitch strike.
Well, you can only do what you can do, and all that Harvey can do is go out there once every fifth day and
take care of his day.
He can't go out and pitch 3 times through the rotation.
Ball and a strike to Kemp. Of course, every Met fan is waiting for the appearance of Zach Wheeler, but things haven't gone all that well for Wheeler. Now, you can attribute part of that to adjusting to pitching in the Pacific Coast League, which is a hitter's league, but he has not thrown strikes as Keith is circling.
Just circled the walks.
Kemp greets Carson with a base hit. Ellis stops at second, and the Dodgers have 2 men on.
That was 12 walks in 18 innings for Zach Wheeler, so that's too many. And this pitch is down, wants it away, but it's got the middle. I mean, it's got too much of the outer half.
When Kemp's at his best, it's almost like he's hitting a Bjorn Borg's forehand topspin as he dumps that ball into left field.
Good call.
But does he have a resting pulse rate of 35?
No, and then no bandana either.
Here's Adrian Gonzalez, who walked and scored in the second. John Nice goes 2 1/3 through 54 pitches before being struck by the Mark Ellis comebacker and forced to leave the game.
Well, if I'm correct where he got hit, Ron, up higher in the calf, then it's going to be more of the meat. So bruise. Yes, and maybe a tightening up. But if it's hit on the ankle, then you got a bone bruise, and that's always painful.
We'll eagerly await word. Ball and a strike to Gonzalez. So now Rob Carson has this game on his shoulders. 24-year-old lefty from Mississippi, who got his feet wet in the big leagues and frankly was rather disappointed that he didn't come north with the club this spring. Scott Rice beat him out for that last left-hander spot in the bullpen. Mets are now carrying 3 lefties. Good fastball. 1-2 to Gonzalez.
Again, another lesson that we spent all of our time worried about who's coming out of spring training as he throws this ball right by Gonzalez. Gonzalez looked like he was going for the downs there. And the next thing you know, Carson's up here in the big leagues in April.
Mets are going to have to make a move with a relief pitcher Saturday when Sean Markham is activated, but who knows now with the injury to Nice how that plays out. 1-2 and the dirt stopped by Buck nicely. 2-2. We've seen John reach for balls, but this is a classic catcher slide.
Very nicely done. Fundies. Excellent. Got to go. This is called lateral movement. You push off, obviously, your right foot, right leg.
That's got 2 ground ball double plays already. Carson hoping for one here to get him through this third inning.
Well, Gonzalez has been one of the guys that have been hitting in the clutch for the Dodgers. You see the defense shading in the outfield, the opposite field, and I agree. I would play Duda a little deeper, though. The only reason I say that, Gonzalez really is like a right-handed power hitter. He has tremendous power to left field.
Tom Goodwin, who positions the outfielders for the Mets. Gets in on him, and he flies one out to right center. And Calgo comes over to measure it, and that's the second out. And now trying to hustle back to second, Ellis, and he just gets back in time. They say that Murphy was off the bag. Tony Rendazzo with the call. That was pretty close.
What was that about by Ellis? He's got a slide, doesn't he? Oh my goodness. He's been out. Well, he's saying that Murphy was not on the bag. Once he reaches back with his foot, does he get it on the bag? It doesn't look like he does. It's hard to tell there with the umpire. I don't think he got back in time.
Wow, that was awfully close.
Oh, Murph's played some first base. You got to stretch there a little bit. What is Ellis doing?
Well, Calgill almost doubled him off. Let's check this out.
I mean, that's a fly ball. That's a can of Del Monte out there.
Boy, Murph's heel was awfully close to that bag. So now Hairston, and he takes the changeup blowing away from Carson. Hairston walked his first time up. But that was a nice job by Carson getting in on the hands of Gonzalez. So you know he's trying to hit the ball the other way.
You're right, guy. That's where you have to pitch him in. No, that's what happened to the Mets pitching the other Gonzalez in Denver. They kept pitching him away. He just wore out the Mets. Never pitched him inside.
Now the way the Braves won the first game of that day-night doubleheader in the 23-degree climes of Denver today, 4-3. Those are the teams with the best records in baseball going head-to-head today. The Braves and the Rockies, both with 13-5 coming in. Now Carson behind on Hairston, 3-0. Hairston's seen 7 pitches, not a single one's been a strike. Not exactly the most prime threat in the middle of that Dodger batting order. Ellis at second, Kemp at first with 2 down.
Swinging here, Keith?
No, definitely not.
7 of the first 13 batters have reached base for the Dodgers, yet only 1 so far has scored.
Well, that's been their problem. They have not scored runs and not hit in the clutch.
185 as a team with runners in scoring position. And before that hit by Sellers in the second inning, they had been 2 for 23 with the bases loaded. Now Carson behind 3-1, and Hairston lines one. Caught! Tejada showing the ups. Used every bit of his vertical leap to save Carson and the Mets and end the top of the third. Well, Tejada may have been struggling with his defense earlier. He's been spot on the last couple of games. That's a beauty. Mets-Dodgers game. Plus share their 2013 NFL Draft predictions on Loudmouths, presented by Caesars Atlantic City, now at a new time tomorrow at 5:30 p.m. only on SNY. Justin Turner will lead off for the Mets in the home third against Clayton Kershaw.
A debate like sway someone's opinion about the result. Is that what?
Well, it says debate the results. Does that mean they're arguing which team won or lost?
I go with Howie. Put it in the books.
Turner playing first base. He's off to a good start at the plate this year, hitting a .385 through his first 26 at bats. Clayton Kershaw with a 1-0 lead. He's retired the first 6, and he throws the changeup low and away, 1-1. Turner, Cowgill, and then the pitcher Carson due up for the Mets. And a broken bat grinder down to third for Jerry Hairston Jr. And Turner retired, 1 away. The Mets have not even had a loud foul against Kershaw yet. You know, facing an ace pitcher after he's gotten beat up a little his prior start is never a good formula.
No, it's not, but it's not that you can't beat them, because you know you can get a clutch hit here and there, but they usually respond with their A game,
unless they're not healthy.
There you go.
Yes. Rick Monday on the right, Charlie Steiner on the left. Rick Monday, of course, was the first $100,000 bonus baby.
He was the first pick in the first draft.
Yep, and out of Arizona State. In the Oakland A's, played for Charlie Finley's Oakland A's, got traded over to the Cubs. Had a terrific career back to the Dodgers. Hit the big home run off Steve Rogers in the playoffs. What year was that, Gary? You remember?
81?
81 in the split season.
That beat Montreal.
Blue Monday, they called it.
Everybody second guessed who was the manager. Was it Jim Fanning? They brought in Steve Rogers out of the bullpen late in the game when he started all year. First pitch, Monday hit it and said dead central.
It was the closest the Expos ever came to making it to the postseason.
And let me tell you, that was Gary Carter in his prime. That was Andre Dawson in his prime. You had Steve Rogers in his prime. They had a terrific bullpen, a terrific starting rotation, great offensive lineup with speed, Tim Raines, the whole 9 yards, and they never got there.
Terry Collins was addressing Colin Cowgill today, and you know, he hit a couple of early home runs. It's been a struggle since then, and he said very simply, the guy I saw in spring training was getting on base, running the bases, scoring runs. He's not doing that now.
Hasn't drawn a walk through his first 40 at bats this year. And the curveball by Kershaw is down, 2-2. Cowgill's an interesting guy because he's 5'9", 180 pounds, and he's a guy who tries to hit home runs. Remember a guy who came up with the Cubs a few years ago, left-hand hitter, Corey Patterson, 5'9", trying to hit home runs.
Yep.
And they always wanted him to bunt and get on base, and he never was that player. Cowgill hits another one down to third, and Hairston with the toss for the second out. And I guess the question is, when you have a player like that, is he what he is, or can you take a guy who's got the raw ability to be a leadoff type guy like Cowgill and turn him into that?
I think that Colin is what he is. He's played in the minor leagues for some time. I think in the majors, not a lot of bats, a 240, 250 hitter. He's a guy who's going to give you some pop. Not a bad guy to have on your bench. Can play the outfield, but I don't know if he's ever going to be that 400 on base percentage guy, Gary.
He takes such a big swing.
Yeah.
And how do you change someone who Ronnie, you pitched your way pretty much your whole life. I hit my way. It's hard to change someone. He takes a real vicious, healthy cut.
Robert Carson's first big league plate appearance, 1 for 14 in his minor league career.
Tell you what, Kershaw is rushing it up there.
See that 1-2 pitch, misses badly down. He's mad at himself, trying to regain his composure and go right after him. I mean, he's that perfect, or feels he's that perfect, that ball should have been the last pitch he threw in this inning.
2-2 to Carson, and he gets his bat on it.
Well, not blaming you, Robert. I don't know how you're going to not be a little tardy against this guy.
Even the real hitters are a little tardy. Carson's worked the count full. Third full count for Kershaw, first time through the batting order. You can see nobody's really touched him first time around this year. Under 100 through the first 3 innings. And that's ball 4. The Mets have their first base runner. How about that? Robert Carson now with a career on base percentage of 1,000. Living right. First Tejada. Now Kershaw walks him.
He's going to the line. Come on, guy. It's easy.
Somewhere the pitching coach for the Pittsburgh Pirates is trembling. Doesn't he have 1-for-1 or 1,000 on base percentage?
Ray Searage.
Ray Searage.
I believe Ray Searage has the daily double because he has the 1,000 winning percentage and the 1,000 batting average as a Met.
1-for-1 and 1-0. Wow.
Carson gets the jacket. And so Kershaw will have to pitch off the stretch for the first time as he takes on Ruben Tejada, who was caught looking on a 3-2 fastball his first time up. Carson got Kershaw all befuddled.
Well, he's got that interesting in the stretch. Watch him. He takes his hands from his side and he kind of meets them at an arc at about, well, he's 6'4", probably around 7'5". He's got his hands at the top of the arc.
And now after walking Carson is behind Tejada 2-0. Almost like that old kids game.
It's just so
church. Here's the steeple.
That's right. Flip it over with all the people, right?
And Carson just gets his hand back. That was a slow fall back into the bag for Rob.
This is where Tom Goodwin's going to tell Robert, you know, we're going to do this Little League style, buddy. Just keep your foot on the bag, lean forward.
Now it's 2-0 to Tejada. And Ruben takes a strike.
It's like that commercial, raise your hands if you're sure.
Pretty good. Look at that. You know, it's very interesting. He almost steps into the same spot that he delivers the baseball, but still goes to first base.
All speed pitch. 2-2. Daniel Murphy would be next. Kershaw's walked 1, struck out 3. And another full count for Tejada.
This is definitely across his body, more towards the first base line. Lands in that same spot every time. That foot really facing the Mets dugout. And flips it over.
So now Carson will be in motion. 3-2 to Tejada. And he falls one away. Ruben saw 8 pitches in his first at bat.
Well, Ruben has these great 3-2 at bats, and if you're a pitcher, Ruben's not a power hitter. You're not going to want to walk him. You're going to get 3 and 2 on him, and it's not disparaging Ruben, but you know he's going to throw him fastballs,
pitch him away, play him away, kind of deal.
Had that terrific pinch hit at bat against Gio Gonzalez on Saturday, where he fouled away 4 in a row after he got to 3 and 2, and now he draws the walk from Kershaw. So back-to-back 2-out walks, and the Mets have 2 men on for Murphy.
Well, that'll get Kershaw angry now at himself.
Well, think about it. That 2-2 pitch to Carson, he wanted to make it and be out of the inning. He has thrown 7, 8, 9, 10 more pitches since then towards his pitch count.
I still cannot get over that pitchers can go to their mouth on the rubber.
I'm always ready to call ball.
So now Carson and Tejada, the base runners for Murphy, who flied out to left his first time up. 2 out of 2 on. Mets down a run in the third. And a first pitch breaking ball. 0-1.
Good call right there. Murph's going to attack first pitch. And I like this aggressiveness on Murph's part. But he threw him a slider on it.
He's got that
and a good one.
Tight slider. Good pitch.
You know, you think of Kershaw more in terms of that slow overhand curveball, but that slider's a good weapon for him too.
Never had it to the last couple of years, and it's resulted in a Cy Young and a second place finish.
It's good against a left-hander.
And a fastball strike, and now he's up on Murphy 0-2. David Wright would be next. So some very impressive numbers at age 25. By the way, you see Felix Hernandez won his 100th last night at age 27. That's rather advanced.
Yeah. There's only 2 other people that have won 100 before Felix Hernandez's age, right? I thought it was Blyleven and Doc won 100 before Felix's birthday.
Those wins are hard to come by for Felix, playing in Seattle. Won a Cy Young with 13 wins a couple of years ago. Here's the 1-2. Hit up the middle. Base hit. Carson turns third. Charged by Kemp. The throw goes to third. Tejada arrives safely. The Mets have tied the game. Daniel Murphy behind in the count gets the Mets' first hit, and it placed the Mets' first run.
Good hitting here by Murph. First pitch, slider, 0-1. Good pitch. Fastball away, 0-2. Fastball away, just misses. Hangs a slider. Nice hitting by Murph.
You know, it's unbelievable. You do all this work on the computer, or we're told they do. And in yesterday's ball game, Zach Duke, or Sunday's, 2 strikes with a curveball. Went to the curveball with 2 strikes to Murphy. He had a base hit to center field. Same pitch.
So the Mets get even at 1-1, and now David Wright with first and third and 2 out. David got sawed off, and it'll blooper to the first baseman his first time. And the first pitch fastball, 0-1.
It was an angry pitch there by Kershaw.
Really hung the slider, and he stayed away from Murph, and he had him 0-2, and I never liked a wasted fastball away 0-2 unless you're going to go in 1-2 to get the hitter.
Well, that goes back to the 2-out walk to the pitcher, Carson, in his first big league plate appearance. And he has now come around to score the tying run, and the Mets looking to grab the lead against Kershaw. The guy who has allowed virtually nothing to the Mets over his last 5 starts against them. And David tries to hold, but he went around. 1-2.
Yes, he did. And this rally with two outs. Curveball in the dirt. He swung. By the way, Murph this year is now 7 for 12 with runners in scoring position. That is outstanding.
13th RBI for Murphy. He's having himself a terrific month of April. Well, Kershaw was ahead 1-2 on Murphy. Now he's 1-2 on Wright.
Well, hey, I know how it is. You get out there in those windy, cold days. Nothing worse than chapped lips coming from the blizzards and out in the western climes.
Mets have had too many cold nights, lead to a lot of chapped lips. And David lines one to center field for a base hit. Tejada's in to score. It's bobbled by Kemp. Murphy heads for third. Kemp's throw is cut off, and the Mets take the lead 2-1. Just like Murphy before him, right down in the count, gets the base hit to give the Mets the lead.
All on pitches away. Wants the ball in. right down the middle. Nice hitting by David. And you can see the expression on Kershaw's face. He knew he made a boo-boo.
Well, lack of concentration by Kershaw against Robert Carson has cost him in this inning.
Good rip right here, and Murph taking a hard turn enables him to go to third with the bobble.
You know, Tejada on the single before by Murphy went first to third, and it looked like Kemp right there rushed it just a little bit, thinking that Murphy was going to go first to third. He was not until the bobble.
And they will charge the error to Kemp, allowing Murphy to take third.
But watch Murph here. He never takes the turn, and then you can keep going. So nicely done. And the fact was he hustled to second base. And Kemp just looked.
Glover in center field.
Yep, and he looked up too quick.
He's won a couple of Gold Gloves in his career. So now John Buck, first and third and 2 out. Mets have scored twice against Kershaw here in the third. And Buck takes the breaking ball inside. Over his last 5 starts against the Mets, Kershaw had a 0.50 ERA. The only other pitcher who had that kind of 5-start span against the Mets since 1969 was Pedro Martinez when he pitched for the Expos. Ball and a strike to Buck, but the Mets, helped by a couple of 2-out walks, have cashed a couple here in the third. Tonight's Cold Hard Facts brought to you by Frost Brewed Coors Light. John Buck has another week to try and set a Met Club record for RBIs in the month of April. Just 4 behind Jeff Kent's 1994 mark.
Well, I tell you, Bernard Gilkey makes a lot of those lists.
He had that one great year for the Mets in '96.
He broke the doubles record that year, am I right?
117 RBIs that season. And he hit .317. Funny thing about that '96 team is the Mets had 3 guys of extraordinary years. Lance Johnson had 227 hits that year, 21 triples. Todd Hundley hit 41 home runs.
Nothing to show for it?
Nothing. Generation K, flame out. Got to have pitching.
Generation BB.
2-1 to Buck. And a check in on Wright, who has stolen 5 bases already this year. They've been doing a lot more running early this season than last year. Last year, just 15 stolen bases for the season, and he got caught 10 times. And now Kershaw behind in the count on Buck, 3-1.
Probably got 2 quick outs. I think he just lost his concentration at this level. I don't care how good you are. A couple of walks, a couple of hits. And the Mets, I don't know how they escaped with only giving up 1 run in the first 3 innings, but they did.
So now a fortuitous count for Buck at 3-1 in an RBI situation with Bird on deck. John,
big
cut and fouls it back.
Why not? Let it rip 3-1. Why not? This is a vicious cut. This is power to power.
That was the I'm waiting for the ball in the perfect spot. That was I'm swinging as soon as he lets it go.
So now Wright will be in motion. 3-2 to Buck, and he missed. Ball 4. That's the 3rd walk of the inning issued by Kershaw, who had walked only 8 batters in 29 innings before tonight. So you had Neese walk 3 in an inning earlier in the game, and now Kershaw has walked 3 in an inning.
Wow. How many pitches has Neese thrown, Gary?
27. Wow.
With 2 quick outs.
It all began with 2 out and nobody on, and the pitcher up. A pitcher who had never been to the plate in the major leagues before. Now 5 straight Mets have reached base. 2 have scored, and a chance for Bird, who has been Kershaw's personal nemesis. And you see the breakdown of this inning. Just a few more strikes than balls. Bird struck out his first time up at 6 for 10 lifetime against Kershaw. And he pops one foul off the left side and out of play. Cutting cut. Dodger pitching coach already on the phone. There's something he's used to doing in the 3rd inning with Kershaw.
There's some organizations in the minor leagues, 35 pitchers or more, you're taken out of the game. Too tough of an inning.
And there is some stirring around in that Dodger bullpen. As Bird bats with the bases loaded and 2 out. And Marlin grounds one down to third. Hairston takes it to the bag for the inning-ending force, but the Mets cash a pair after a couple of 2-odd walks by Kershaw. Daniel Murphy and David Wright both behind in the count come through. Murphy ties it. Wright puts the Mets in front. 2-1 as we go to the fourth at Citi Field. First plate appearance, scored a run. Now he has a 2-1 lead. Andre Ethier will lead off, and we'll check in with Kevin Burkhardt. Kevin,
it's a quick update on Jonathan Neese, guys. I think this is good news. Mets say he has a contusion of his lower right leg, but X-rays are negative. He's day to day. I don't know exactly where on the lower right leg, but you like the X-rays negative. That's a good thing for Jonathan Neese.
Ethier flies one foul. Well, yeah, there's no question that X-rays being negative, a huge positive, but where he got hit on that leg is going to be very important to what turns out to be the prognosis. It was down around the lower part of his leg near the ankle or Achilles. As Ethier takes a strike, 0-2. Now Carson came on, gave up a hit to Matt Kemp, but then he got a fly ball from Adrian Gonzalez, and then a tremendous leaping grab by Ruben Tejada to deny Jerry Hairston and save at least 1 run. Now working his first full inning. Carson's longest big league outing is 2 innings, and you know, Terry Collins says it all the time when we ask about long men out of the bullpen. He said, hey, in the National League, long man works 2 innings. Well, this might be the kind of game where a long man can go a lot more than 2 innings. Now, whether Carson's arm is sufficiently stretched out to do that is a different question.
Well, you don't want to use all your bullpen, and you want to pitch him as long as he's effective.
Normally, when you use a long man, it's because your starter is getting routed.
Yeah.
So, of course, you're going to use pinch hitters to try and come back in the game. But if you get in a situation like this where your pitcher leaves because of injury and now you have a lead, if your pitcher's pitching well, you might want to keep him in the game and not pinch hit for him.
I would consider Carson now Neese until the 5th inning, right? Let him go.
3-2 to Ethier. And he just got a piece of that to stay alive.
It was a double, triple hit there by Ethier.
That's a foul on Goff.
Foul.
Low stroke.
That's a TC Chen. That's what it is. In the U.S. Open at Baltusrol. Bang. Follow through. Hit it again. Boy, that's a great angle to watch. Carson's delivery.
I love that camera angle right there.
Murphy to his right. Nice backhand stop. Got him. Beauty by Daniel Murphy. One away. The Mets getting some fine infield defense behind Carson.
Well, nice backhand by Murph, and knows he has no time to waste, and makes it kind of a Jeter-esque kind of throw here.
What I love about those plays is that the good infielders, as they're approaching that ball in the backhand, already are trying to time their footwork so that they can get that ball off and throw in the first as quick as they can. Just a step and a half by Murph, and the ball was on its way.
It's 0-1 out now. A.J. Ellis, and he takes a strike. Ellis walked his first time up. One of the 3 walks that Nice issued in the second. Justin Sellers plated a run with a bloop single. And then with 1 out in the third, Mark Ellis hit one off Nice's leg and knocked him out of the game, necessitating the call to Carson.
You know, guys, the last days of spring training were tough. I mean, Rob Carson really tried to make this team, and he was, I would use the word devastated when he didn't. Most people would, of course, it's understandable, but he said, you know, I went to Vegas and I had a chip on my shoulder. I needed to prove that I belonged here.
Tejada with another sparkler and throws him out, 2 away. Sorry, Kev, go ahead.
No, if he had defense like that, Gary, he'd be here all day long. I'll tell you, it's been amazing. Tejada twice and Murphy. But he said one of the things that happened when he went down to AAA, talking to Wally Backman and Randy St. Clair said, listen, I think your slider and your cutter are way too similar. You need something different. Wanted him to throw a curveball. Carson said he calls it a slurve, but he said he snaps it off like a curveball. Doesn't have that true 12-6, but it has a little different break than his slider. St. Clair made him use it. He said I had mixed results, some good, some bad, but he made me throw it every time I was out there, so I'm going to use it up here as well.
The most important thing for Rob is throwing strikes, and he's been doing that since coming in.
He did that, honestly, when he came up the second time last season. So, like most young pitchers, just refining that breaking pitch, as Kevin was saying. See that change up there? It's good speed, it's good placement, but he gives it away because he slows his arm speed down.
Correct. It's a work in progress, and the big leagues is not a place to experiment too much with it.
Sellers at the blue pit to drive in the Dodger run, and that one fisted foul, 1-2.
One of the things we haven't seen from the Mets pitchers, and it'll be interesting to see if John Buck starts to go to it. He's got a beautiful motion. It looks a lot like CC Sabathia-like. See how he drops that arm down on the side and lets it go? But will the Mets pitchers start to double up inside like that? Good pitch.
Robert Carson's a big guy. He's not quite Sabathia sized. 6'4", 240 though. Strike 3 call. Sellers out on the high strike called by Mike Winters. Carson has his first strikeout, and thanks to some more stellar Met defense, he's got himself a 1-2-3 inning. 2-1 New York.
Visit them on the web at searchmercedes.com. Jimi Hendrix on the PA. Must be Lucas Duda leading off in the bottom of the 4th. Duda struck out his first time up and takes a strike.
Duda, Turner, and Cowgill against Clayton Kershaw, who retired the first 2 batters in the 3rd, then walked the pitcher, walked Tejada, and Murphy and Wright each cashed in RBI hits to give the Mets the lead. And the curveball finds the inside corner, and it's 0-2.
He dropped a couple of excellent hammers on Lucas the first time up, and this one is hello.
How do you hit that?
Don't. Well, you can't hit it if you don't swing. You could try.
But seriously, how do you hit that and keep it fair? Or
well, he meant to get it away.
Right.
So a lot of times the curveballs, when they stay inside, that's a fastball right there away. So this guy's just tough. He throws hard. He's got the electric hook. Got a little slide ball too. I mean, he'd be a tough work, no question.
Duda pops one up. Not much room behind the plate, and so it goes back in the crowd. Well,
the curveball here, watch it stays inside. So it starts more at your shoulder. Lucas already buckled. So when it crowds you inside, Gary, that's called a backup curve or a backup slider. It can kind of jam you. But if it's a curveball breaking away, and there's his pitches by the innings, you see that 3rd inning where he almost threw 40 pitches and gave up the 2 runs. If it breaks away, you got a chance if you go with it, because you can extend your arms.
That curveball just missed.
The problem with Kershaw is against the left-hander, the curveball. When it comes out of his hand, it's starting right at your head. And then it takes the right turn. Watch where it starts. Right inside and then down. That one's a little down than the one before.
Got him with the off-speed pitch. So Kershaw fans Duda for the 2nd time. His 4th strikeout.
That's almost not fair to throw the changeup after all those pitches.
Now, there's a very important personage in the ballpark tonight. At least he was here earlier. I don't know if he's still here for the game. Sandy Koufax, who now works for the Dodgers, of course, did some informal work with Met pitchers over a couple of springs. Of course, he's great friends with Mets principal owner Fred Wilpon from their high school days in Brooklyn. And it's interesting with Kershaw starting against Nice tonight, because both of them have benefited from Koufax's tutelage.
You know, Sandy always visits the Mets camp, and I know that he talked to John about the breaking ball. John, who has a big curveball, and he certainly has talked to and helped Clayton Kershaw. And who wouldn't want to listen? Look at those numbers. I mean, considered the best curveball maybe of all time.
Greatest pitcher I've ever seen. He had those enormous those enormous hands. You ever shake Sandy's hand? I mean, you have big hands, but his
no, I remember with Dwight Gooden in the day. It's just, you know, when you're blessed with those long fingers, your ability to manipulate the baseball just off the charts.
And Sandy Koufax, the youngest player ever to be inducted into the Hall of Fame at 36 years of age, because he retired.
Well, he had to because of arthritis in his pitching elbow.
You know, Jim Cott tells me the story that Game 7 he pitched against Sandy in 65.
Jimmy was with Minnesota, right?
Jimmy was a starting pitcher, and he took which was then they took the standard 2 starters pitchers together, and that Sandy had so much analgesic balm on his body.
Turner grounds one to Sellers. And that's the 2nd out.
And the picture that Jim has at home, which I've seen, which Sandy signed for Jim.
Oh, wow.
Jim's got tears in his eyes from the fumes from the ointment.
They said that Sandy just about bathed in that stuff, and that's the only way that he could take them out on a start-by-start basis.
And he was someone that couldn't find the plate if you paid him when he early in his career.
Well, remember that Sandy was a basketball player first. Went to the University of Cincinnati on a basketball scholarship and came to pitching late. But then when it turned out he had this magical left arm, the Dodgers, the days before the draft, gave him a large enough bonus. And at the time, if you got a bonus over a certain level, I think it was $6,000, you had to stay on the big league roster for 2 years. You couldn't go to the minor leagues. But Walter Alston wouldn't pitch him because he was so wild. And so basically he sat around for 3 or 4 years and didn't pitch a whole lot.
And it wasn't until really 1960, 61 in there that he finally figured out a good half dozen years into his career.
Go ahead.
Go on, Rob.
Well, I was just saying that it was a spring training game, and he was struggling, and his catcher came out to him. I know you guys know the answer. Norm Sherry. Yep. He came out and said, Sandy, let's just throw like 80-85%. Just try to throw the ball down the middle, and let's work from there. And he found that throwing, less than all out, he could get the strike zone and then mix in the curveball, and the game's over.
Won 18 games in 61, and then the 5-year stretch from 62 to 66, after which he had to retire, the best 5-year stretch any pitcher has ever had. Kershaw was walking off the mound. He thought he had strike 3, but didn't get it.
Best season ever for someone in their retirement year, right? Fastball in, looks like a strike to me. Maybe inside. Up top, let's check it. Yeah, good call there by Mike Winters, home plate umpire.
Kershaw over 80 pitches in the 4th inning. And Calgill will make him throw another. Look, Koufax's last outing was against the Orioles in that World Series in 66. He pitched game 2, and was the Orioles swept the Dodgers that year. And it was kind of the changing of the guard, because you had Koufax and Drysdale and that whole staff, which was so dominant through the 60s, and here came this Orioles staff with Jim Palmer and David Daly and Cuellar. They shut the Dodgers out 3 times in that 4-game series.
Was Palmer on that staff?
Yes.
So there was the big 4.
Palmer was just a baby at that time.
And Pat Dobson.
He came later. Of course, Mo Grabowski had the great relief outing in the first game of that series in 66. 6 1/3, I think. Out to right field, chasing Ethier back. And that retires the side. Kershaw gets the Mets 1-2-3, but the Mets lead 2-1 as we go to the 5th. Only one world championship in the city of New York, and that came in 1955. After years of frustration against the Yankees, they finally overcame them. Johnny Padres pitched the shutout in Game 7. Sandy Ambrose made the great catch against Yogi Berra, and they raised the world championship flag at Ebbets Field. That was the lineup for the Dodgers that year. Duke Snider, a tremendous center fielder. Carl Furlow, who patrolled right field and knew that wall at Ebbets Field better than anybody. Kershaw tries to butt his way on as we start the 5th inning. There's a Sandy Koufax story related to that World Series championship. We mentioned that he came up with the Dodgers in 55, but he only pitched in 12 games that year, so nobody knew who he was. And Sandy was taking some classes. I think it was at NYU, and he said to his professor, I need the day off tomorrow because we have a parade for the Dodgers championship. He goes, and the professor goes, "Oh, you're a big fan?" I said, "No, I'm on the team. That's how anonymous Koufax was in those days. Of course, that would all change in the latter stages of his career. Scott Atchison up in the Mets bullpen as Carson has already worked an inning and 2/3 in relief. And there's the news being flashed to the fans about Jonathan Neese's injury, and all of that is good, but how good, I guess we still have to wait and see. Kershaw rolls over one and Murphy throws him out. Kershaw hustling all the way. 6 in a row retired by Carson. 1 out and nobody on in the 5th. Let's check in with Kevin.
Well, thankfully, Gary, we don't have to worry about a long-term replacement now that we know that Jonathan Neese's X-rays are negative. But you guys had mentioned Rafael Montero earlier, rightfully so. You know, in spring training, we take you back there. I asked David Wright who the player that has really caught his eye this spring, and he said Montero. Here's why. Combine the stats from last year and early on this year. Last year in Single-A, this year in Double-A Binghamton. He's got 137 strikeouts and 20 walks. I mean, I can't remember a number like that for a guy in the minor leagues in a while. Montero is flat out dominating. I talked to Pedro Lopez, the manager of Binghamton, today, and he said, man, I'll tell you what, I've never seen so many strikeouts looking before in my life. Guys think his fastball is going to be low. It's always at the knees. It's never down the middle. It's a chance for Daniel Murphy. And he said that's the thing. He's just striking out guys looking left and right. His fastball command is precise. And the thing about him, he doesn't have that real wipeout slider, which makes him more impressive, but his changeup, Gary, is fantastic. He said his changeup is around 84 miles an hour. Combine that with a fastball that's around 93. That's a pretty good mixture right there for Montero. He's been great.
And I think it's important to note on Montero, he's 22 years old. Most Dominican kids sign when they're 16. Montero didn't sign until he was 20. So this is only his 3rd year of pro ball, and he's come an enormous way in a short time. There's Juan Lagares, the newest call-up for the Mets. Came up from Las Vegas, where he was off to a great start, replacing Kirk Neuenhuis on the roster.
Well, he was hitting well over 300 down there at Vegas.
They say that he's a tremendous defensive outfielder. Lagares began his minor league career as a shortstop, made 40 errors his first season. They moved to the outfield, and Terry Collins was saying there are some in the organization who feel he's a better center fielder than Matt Dendecker, and that would be some awfully high praise.
Ellis hits one to deep left field. Back goes Duda near the wall, and it's out of here. Oh, Mark Ellis with his first home run of the season to tie the game at 2. That's the last guy in the lineup you expect to take you deep. Carson had retired 6 in a row, but Ellis gets the Dodgers back even.
That was like lightning, and you said it, Garrett. Did not expect a home run out of him, but it's fastball away, right down the middle and up. And any ball hits out of this, but gets out of this ballpark is hit.
And for Mark Ellis, his 100th career home run for the 35-year-old veteran. So that gets the Dodgers even. It'll also end Carson's night. Mets make a pitching change here in the 5th, tied at 2. We'll be right back. big league game, part of a double switch. He'll come into center field and bat ninth. And Scott Atchison will pitch and bat eighth with 2 out and nobody on in the fifth.
Really, the only tough appearance that Atchison had was in Colorado when hung a couple of breaking balls. Other than that, he's been pretty good.
So Carson went 2 1/3. He allows a run on 2 hits in relief of the injured John Neese. No walks and a strikeout for Carson, who gives up the game-tying home run to Ellis. Kemp is 1 for 2, and he hits a slow ground ball. Tejada will have to charge and throw in a hurry, and he gets the speedy Kemp to end the inning. So Atchison comes in, gets a ground ball, and that gets us halfway through this game, but not before Mark Ellis ties things up for the Dodgers with his 100th career home run. 2-2 as we go to the bottom of the fifth. First big league at bat for Juan Lagares as he leads off the home fifth inning and takes a strike from Clayton Kershaw. Lagares, 24 years old, native of the Dominican, and Ronnie, I don't know how, but he got your number.
I like it though.
Well, one of your numbers anyway.
Yeah. Well, that's a pretty tough order, right? Your first at bat is going to be against a guy who won the Cy Young 2 years ago, finished second last year.
Lagares played all of last year at Double-A, hit .283 at Binghamton.
He is not a power hitter, has not hit any in the minor leagues, anything in double digits in home runs.
But Wally Backman was saying that this is a kid who is going to hit for some power. And he hits this one in the air to left field, pretty well hit. Crawford back, and he has room in front of the warning track to make the catch.
Little slider here, curveball. Let's see, wants it away. Hangs it. Oh, he just got under it.
So Lagares' first at bat results in a fly ball out.
Oh, Kershaw going for a reboot in between innings with pitching coach Rick Honeycutt. Pretty good lefty in his own day, and he's really talking about whenever a pitching coach has his arm out to the left, he's talking about arm slot and to get on top of his pitches.
And Rick Honeycutt, one of the great doctors of baseball there ever was.
He got caught once in Seattle, right?
He was, when he came over to the Dodgers, he was wicked. He had a hard sinker, and he was a battler out there. Always liked him. Still do. There's always good battles with him. But boy, he had everything. It's sandpaper, whatever. Razor blades. He was notorious.
He was the original Home Depot.
Tejada strokes one to center, chasing Kemp back a few strides. And that's the second out.
You know, I played with Rick in Oakland, and by that time, he was the setup man for some of the fantastic seasons that Eckersley had.
So 2 out and nobody on. Now Daniel Murphy, who had a base hit to center to tie the game against Kershaw in the third. David Wright followed with an RBI single to give the Mets the lead. Mark Ellis's home run got the Dodgers back even. And Murphy watches upstairs for ball one. Kershaw now up to 91 pitches working in the 5th inning. There's your 5th inning recap presented by ESPN New York Radio 98.7 FM. John Neese left in the 3rd inning after being struck on the lower leg with a shot up the middle. Robert Carson came in, gave the Mets 2 1/3 solid innings in relief. Mets played some terrific defense behind him. Murphy and Tejada combining for 3 outstanding plays. David Wright would be next. Kershaw, though, trying to put this inning to bed. Juan Lagares, who took a red eye from Colorado Springs, arrived in New York at 9 o'clock this morning and now playing in the big leagues.
And happily playing in the big leagues. Probably thinking, can't believe I missed that slider.
He'll probably get his first big league start tomorrow night against Ted Lilly. Terry Collins didn't want to put him right in there after his red eye, but now he's in there anyway. Full count to Murphy.
It's supposed to be away, but it runs inside. I think that's where it fools Murph.
Kershaw's walked 3, struck out 4. Murphy will make him throw another one.
See that little grunt there by Kershaw on that delivery to Murph. Trying to put a little extra on it, and he did.
Murph has that follow through on the low pitch, much like the Charlie Lau school of hitting. Let's go with the one hand.
Again, the 3-2. And Murphy lifts this one behind third base, twisting into foul ground and out of play.
Charlie Lau was in Kansas City, and a disciple of his was the hitting coach in Boston, right?
Walt Riniak.
Worked with a lot of the hitters in the 80s when we had to face them.
Well, Walter Riniak's longest tenure was with the White Sox, was it not?
Yep. Well, Jerry Reinsdorf gave him a long-term contract. It was the first long-term contract that any coach had really gotten. 8th pitch of the at-bat to Murphy. He fouls back the fastball.
And of course, Ted Williams, the great Ted Williams, was never a fan of that style of hitting. The Charlie Lau school was always very critical of it. Was actually disparaging of Charlie Lau, who really was a 200 hitter.
But George Brett says that Lau taught him everything he knew.
Well, George Brett said he incorporated certain things into his swing, not everything.
Up the middle, and Murphy's got himself another hit. Well, Daniel Murphy just keeps on taking the ball up the middle. He's got his 2nd hit of the day.
Oh, another good at bat for Murph here. He got ahead 3-1 and then got to 3-2. There's a fastball out over the plate. And he stays in. He rips.
Joe Madden for the Tampa Bay Rays says the worst thing in baseball right now is the 2-strike approach. He'd like the 2-strike approach of Daniel Murphy.
And you know, it's changed from last year, because last year it was a purely defensive approach. This year it's a much more aggressive approach.
That's something that they've worked on him, Dave Hudgens, the hitting coach. Don't be afraid to strike out. You know, you take that little defensive swing, you're not going to get anything out of that. You might as well take a rip. So it's paid off for Murph. I mean, Murph has good back control, has a good eye at the plate. He's a tough 2-strike hitter. He stays in on lefties. If he strikes out 70 times, so what?
He's in 368 now as he just gets back in time.
You know what that at-bat did, though? He got deep into the count, fouled off some pitches, gets a base hit, gets David up to the plate, and might take Kershaw out after this inning.
Well, Kershaw's about to throw his 100th pitch of the night. Wright had an RBI single his last time up. And David takes low and inside for ball 1.
Interesting when you watch Kershaw from the stretch. He doesn't really have a step. He kind of just lets the gravity take him towards the plate. Doesn't even really lift up his front foot. Just leans forward.
He's falling down the hill.
Yeah.
Well, we talk about it all the time about the Mets' propensity for building pitch counts against opposing starters. And sometimes it's hard to do against the elite pitchers who throw strikes, but they've done it again here tonight against one of the best pitchers in the game.
Now, what they're making Kershaw work. This is a tough day at the office for him.
And the curveball low and inside, 2-1. They've gotten away from that curveball over the last couple of innings.
Hey, that's your ace out there. He's a horse.
It's hard, though, to push a guy who's over 100 pitches in 5 innings much beyond that. Because it's not just the number of pitches you throw, it's how many you throw under duress. And now he's behind on right, 3-1 with Buck on deck.
I think he's a little bit concerned about Murph. Murph can pilfer a base. 3-1 here. I'd turn Murph loose.
I would not. I wait till 3-2 only because Murph likes to get real aggressive, and he's got a good move to first base.
3-1 to right. Good fastball.
Threw it by him.
Kershaw just challenged David, beat him to the spot.
So now Murphy will be in motion, and they continue to hold him on, leaving that hole open. We've seen teams do this a number of times early in the season as Ronald Belisario gets up in the bullpen for the Dodgers. Why would you hold the runner in this spot?
Well, I don't get it. The only thing I'm thinking about is that Murph will not get a huge jump.
No, you got to play behind.
Yeah. Ball 4. And so Wright is on with the walk, and that's the 4th given up by Kershaw. Half as many as he had in his first 4 starts combined.
Well, now Honeycutt will go out there because of a couple of reasons. He's going to talk to his pitcher, but they got to make sure that Belisario can get loose enough so that if Kershaw doesn't get through Buck, they'll change pitchers.
Dodgers have some great arms in their bullpen, but Belisario has been really the guy who's been struggling through the early season.
He's been extremely wild. Those are not the kind of numbers that you see from Kershaw. He's more, you know, if he had 60 strikes, he's the kind of guy that had 25 or 30 balls at the most.
Second straight start. He's walked 4 batters. He did against the Padres in his last start, which did not go well. So a big moment in this game with Buck coming up against a possibly tiring Kershaw.
Well, let's see how he pitches him here, Ronnie. A first ball, fastball hitter. This is a big spot right here. Oh, where are we? Is that Santa Monica Beach?
Looks like some Dodger fans found their way into the ballpark.
Now they finally call time.
Just noticed it. They're going to send Crawford out to do the housekeeping.
I always remember Tony Gwynn in San Diego getting that one and then dunking it over the fence in San Diego.
Well, Tony liked to show off his basketball skills.
That's right.
He was point guard at San Diego State.
Not a bad hitter.
Gold Glover. Base stealer.
What are you? How many batting titles? 7? More than usual.
Buck has popped up and walked tonight, 0 for 1. 2 on and 2 out. Tie game, 5th inning. And Buck watches wide. Ball 1. John Buck leading the National League in RBIs. Having himself an incredible month of April. .661 slugging percentage coming into the day. 6th in the league.
So over a 5th of the way to 100. Not even out of April.
And Kershaw behind him 2-0.
Well, we saw the last at bat with Buck almost swung out of his shoes on 3-1. He's got a 2-0 count here.
On Sunday in the Mets last game, Buck hit one to the second deck out in left center. About as long a home run as a right-hand hitter has hit in this ballpark. And he takes a rip and fouls it back.
I tell you what, I like Kershaw. He's not afraid to challenge, and it's just, you know, he's behind the count. Fastball hitter, red hot. Here, I'm coming after you. Good cut. What a power cut that was.
Kershaw's given up 3 home runs this season. 34 innings of work.
That was all in one game, correct? His last start. The 3 home runs
against the Padres.
Buck was pretty much on that. I wonder if he'll counter with that slider that he's throwing the right-handers from his behind in the count.
He's kind of gotten away from his curveball, hasn't he? There's a fastball inside, and now it's 3-1.
He wanted that pitch. It's a little cutter in, and it missed. Good eye by Buck.
Well, you talked about his 3-1 swing that last at bat. See if he unbuttons his shirt here.
It's been outstanding offensive performance by the lineup of the Mets today.
And Buck pops it up, foul. That'll come back out of play.
Serious bat speed here, Chief.
Yes, and it's upstairs too. He gets it up in the strike zone or he gets under it. He letting it rip. Does not get cheated. I'm going to sprain that ankle, twist that front ankle where he swung.
Already the 8th full count for Kershaw tonight. 110 pitches deep. Murphy and Wright will be running with 3 and 2 and 2 down. And Buck takes strike 3 call. Got him looking at the slider. And so Kershaw gets himself out of a 5th inning jam.
Good pitch.
5 strikeouts for Kershaw. As Buck was had. 2-2 after 5. Of the season, plus bring you all the latest Jets and Giants NFL draft news on Daily News Live, presented by Citi, tomorrow at 5 p.m. only on SNY. Scott Atchison got the final out in the 5th inning and stays on to face his former Red Sox teammate Adrian Gonzalez as we start the 6th. Gonzalez has walked and scored, fly to center 0 for 1, and the changeup misses 2-0. Gonzalez, Hairston, and Ethier for the Dodgers. Mets have had to patch it together after Nice left in the 3rd inning after getting hit on the leg by a line drive. Rob Carson gave the Mets his longest big league outing, 2 1/3, and now Atchison trying to work through the middle innings. Dodgers, through their first 18 games before tonight, had hit just 10 home runs. They were expecting to be a team that would hit for a lot more power than that. But Gonzalez, one of their prime power sources, only with 2 home runs and now with a strikeout to start the 6th inning.
Well, when you have this many pitches, your manager after 5 is going to say it's called a night.
And that's not going to make your starter very happy.
Yeah,
Can't be satisfied with that start.
Yeah, he's frustrated, but it's his own fault.
Yep.
The pitch count.
8 full counts leading to 111 pitches in 5 innings for Kershaw.
And I think a lot of credit goes to the Mets hitters. I mean, they've got good eyes at the plate and made him throw strikes. They took a lot of tough pitches that were just off the strike zone, that were tough pitches to lay off. They made that man work.
How many times do you say a Cy Young Award winner's downfall was a walk to the pitcher Carson?
2-out walk, and just to exacerbate it, it was Carson's first big league plate appearance, and it led to a 2-run inning, and now has pushed Kershaw out of the game as Hairston fouls it off 1-2. Hairston with 2 on and 2 on in the 3rd hit a rising line drive to short, and Tejada made a tremendous leaping grab to get the Mets through that 3rd inning.
Yep, that was a 2 outs. That's Belisario up in the bullpen, and that would have scored 2. That was in the gap for a double, and that would have been a 4-2 ball game instead of a 2-2 tie.
Past the mound, Tejada right near the bag, and he throws out Hairston 2 away. So 2 out and nobody on. Let's check in with the studio. Gary Apple has this game break.
Washington is not finding it so easy this year.
With a loss, the Nats would fall to .500 for the season after losing 2 out of 3 here.
Davey was very interesting in his reaction to that 3-0 hit sign to Worth yesterday, the other day, wasn't he, Gare?
Well, I think the best way of saying it is that Davey said nothing, which is to say that maybe it wasn't his sign on 3-0.
That possibly Worth missed the take sign?
What I wonder about is, with veteran hitters like Worth, whether maybe they're on their own in a lot of those circumstances.
No. I was never on my own.
But I wonder whether that's changed.
Who's in charge? Feel like Dustin Hoffman. Who's in charge here?
Well, Worth beat himself up afterward. He said it's maybe the dumbest thing he's ever done on the baseball field.
Really?
Yeah.
Good for him. Well, then I got to assume, which I don't like to assume, that he probably. Yes. We won't go into that. We came close the other game, Gare, but we checked ourselves. But
that's because we're professionals. Full count to Ethier. Ethier robbed of a hit on a nice backhand play by Murphy his last time.
I liked once in a while we'd go into start a new series somewhere and Buddy Harrelson would do it. And this is going to end the inning, and I'll be brief. Buddy would say, okay, today we're going to do, if I give the take sign of the one hand, it's a hit sign. 3-0, and you can sneak attack them.
It's very confusing. Brought to you by your Mercedes-Benz Tri-State dealers. Visit them on the web at searchmercedes.com. Double switch for the Dodgers. Juan Uribe comes in to play third base. He'll bat ninth. And the new pitcher, 30-year-old Venezuelan Ronald Belisario, will hit number 5 in the order.
Boy, he's fully tattooed up on those arms, right? Belisario's problem has been his control. You see the base on ball 6 and 7 and 3rd inning. But when he's right, he is a ground ball machine. Has as much movement on his fastball sinking as anyone in the game.
Had an outstanding year for the Dodgers last year. Marlon Byrd, first man to face him, and he pops the first pitch up foul. Ellis back for a look, but that's out of play. Belisario last year, 68 games, 71 innings, only 47 hits allowed, 29 walks, 69 strikeouts. So he had an outstanding season. After spending the previous year on the restricted list because of visa issues. But his 2013 has gotten off to a rocky beginning. Well, the Mets have accomplished what they wanted. They've gotten Kershaw out of the game after 5 innings, 111 pitches, 2 runs, only 3 hits, but he walked 4, struck out 5 through 8 full counts, which led to that high pitch count.
Just interesting, isn't it, for Kershaw? He comes out of the gates with a 9-inning shutout, hits a home run, and the starts after that have not been great.
But early in this game, he looked dominant. He retired the first 8 batters, and then came that fateful plate appearance by Robert Carson when he walked him, and that just seemed to knock Clayton Kershaw off his perch. A little dribbler up the line, but it goes foul.
So those 111 pitches out of Kershaw, and there's Brandon Lyon up, who's been doing a terrific job out of the bullpen for the Metsies. 67 strikes, Ron, 44 balls. That's not a very good percentage.
He's usually a strike machine. He's off his game, and like Gary said at the beginning, that was vintage Kershaw.
And I got to give a lot of credit to the Mets hitters.
Yeah, I think he made the right call.
They really they were impressive.
But that really is what the Mets have been doing since the start of the season. Working pitchers, drawing walks. They've got the 4th highest on base percentage in the league. It's what they did the first half last year to get off to that unexpectedly good start. Now the question is, can they maintain it?
Well, I think a lot of credit goes to, and it's the philosophy of Dave Hudgens, the hitting coach, and it's something that he's preached. He's been here now more than a few years.
There's J.P. Howell, the former Rays left-hander.
The difference, Keith, though, it's been sprinkled in with some balls out of the ballpark. That's why they have scored all their runs.
Mets have hit 22 home runs. They came into the night 4th in the National League in home runs.
Well, maybe more than a sprinkle. Not quite a deluge.
If they could get a couple of their big power hitters going, imagine how many home runs they might hit. Wright's only hit 2, Davis 3, and the Mets first in the National League pitches seen per plate appearance. And the philosophy of Dave Hudgens is not strictly that. It's don't swing at pitches you can't hit.
Right. Dave he preaches to be selective, but to also be aggressive in the first ball fastball hit.
As Bird goes down swinging, I mean, what Dave will say is the plate's 17 inches wide, take away the 2 inches on the inside and the 2 inches on the outside, and concentrate on the 13 inches in the middle.
They're always anticipating
where the hits are.
Yeah, you're anticipating the ball's going to sink with Belisario. That did not. But it's interesting, when we showed that graphic, it's the A's who have seen more pitches per plate appearance. We showed in spring training the only difference between the offenses of the A's and the Mets last year, because lots of strikeouts, lots of bases on balls, good on base percentage, is the A's hit tons of home runs.
By the way, the A's have scored 13 today in Boston. Duda takes a strike. Let's check in with Kevin.
Guys, to move Duda at all, whether that's from left field to first base when Ike Davis is off, or especially in the batting order. He wants to keep him in the 6th hole, doesn't want to move him up and clean up. And I asked him why today. He said, well, look, last year when he was struggling, he got really frustrated. I want to avoid that. If we get to like June 1st, he's playing well, hitting well, confident. then we could talk about some things. But right now, we're not there yet. He said, you know, the other thing I definitely don't want him to do is to move him up to the cleanup spot where he's all of a sudden going to think, I've got to hit home runs, I've got to drive runs in. I just want to leave him where he is, let him do what he's doing, and keep that going. The irony is his career numbers are actually better in the cleanup spot, guys, in a similar sample size. 294 as a cleanup hitter in his career, 269 in the 6-hole in his career.
So far, he's thriving where he is. Not so far today. He struck out twice against Kershaw, but it's no shame in that. Justin Turner on deck, and then the pitcher spot behind him. Now Belisario ahead in the count, 1-2. And a little tapper handed by the pitcher Belisario, and he throws him out. Not recommended to do that at home, kids.
Well, sit up the end of the bat, so lucky this is not a scalder. You know, you kids out there, don't pay attention to Gary. You wanted to go ahead and do that, go ahead and do it.
And if you break your finger, send the bill to Keith. That's right.
Nice coaching, you.
You know, they let you use the glove in this game. Here's Turner, who's 0 for 2. Twice has grounded out to the left side. Getting the start at first base tonight with a left-hander starting. Gives the Mets some punch from the left side on their bench.
There's Hanley.
Hanley Ramirez traveling with the Dodgers now. Maybe a week away. His bobblehead night is scheduled at Dodger Stadium a week from tonight. He said his goal is to make it back for that game.
Well, I couldn't make it for mine, so we'll see what happens for him. You know, it's interesting here. Turner getting this bat. Low ball pitcher. Ike Davis on the bench. Tie game. I don't know. I'd take a shot.
Danny Valdez being on deck to bat with the pitcher if it goes that far. Terry Collins had some interesting comments about Valdespin today with the promotion of Lagares, who's another guy who can play the outfield. He said that he may see Valdespin more as an every once in a while backup for Murphy at second and a guy off the bench, rather than a semi-permanent presence in that leadoff spot, which is what he's been through the first 3 weeks of the year. Then again, with the revolving door involving Met outfielders, it can change day to day. Belisario strikes out Turner, so a good inning for Belisario with a couple of strikeouts. We go to the 7th. Mets and Dodgers tied at 2. The Pirates up 2-0 on the Phillies. Seth Smith with 3 RBIs. The A's beating up on the Red Sox at Fenway 13-0. They're in a delay now in the 7th. Adam Wainwright 8 scoreless innings, and the Cardinals go to the 9th up 2-0 on the Nats. We go to the 7th. Brandon Lyon on to pitch. A.J. Ellis leads off for L.A. and he takes outside for ball 1.
Well, Lyon has been outstanding, like you were talking about, Keith. You see his numbers, the low ERA. He's got himself a win and no base on balls in 7 innings pitched.
Worked a 1-2-3 innings Sunday against the Nats. Helped out by a terrific defensive play by Ruben Tejada behind him. It'll be Ellis, then Justin Sellers, and Juan Uribe for the Dodgers here in the 7th. L.A. 2 runs, 5 hits. The Mets 2 runs and 3 hits. Lyon, the 4th Met pitcher. John Neese forced to leave because of injury in the 3rd after being struck on the lower right leg with a drive off the bat of Mark Ellis. Neese went 2 1/3, 1 run, 3 hits. Rob Carson 2 1/3, 1 run, 2 hits, and then Scott Atchison perfect for his inning in the 3rd. And now Lyon working in the 7th. And he's behind on Ellis 3-1. Studying up on the media guy.
It's a media guide is right. It's Trey Hillman, isn't it, the bench coach for the Dodgers?
Just looking for information anywhere he can find it. Down the right field line and headed toward the stands. Out of play.
Hopefully it's not alphabetical that he's looking. I mean, if he's looking for Lagares,
no,
good luck.
Well, it's Lyon. Lyon is, for some reason, the Mets media guide Lyon is between Laffey and Lagares, which we've yet to figure out.
Oh boy, we're tough.
Now the 3-2. Strike 3 call. Ellis caught looking. 1 out of the 7th.
Right there, his knees in black. Well, the great thing you have with Brandon Lyon is that he throws strikes, but he also can throw 4 pitches for strikes. Perfect pitch.
So 1 out, nobody on. Here's Justin Sellers, who drove in the first LA run with a bloop single to right in the 2nd. Paco Rodriguez, the only left-hander in the Dodger bullpen, getting ready. I should say 1 of 2. J.P. Howell we saw up in the last inning. Catcher's work is never done.
Yeah, right.
Tough at bat. Strap the equipment back on. Lyon gets the slider over. 1-1. Lyon spent a lot of time in the National League West, so he's seen plenty of the Dodgers over the years. And a good curveball. 1-2 to Sellers.
Boy, he really snapped this one off. Starts in the middle of the plate. Look where it ends up. That's a good one.
Now the 1-2. Down to 3rd. Tough play for right on the backhand. Flings it over. Not in time. Sellers has an infield hit.
A broken bat infield hit, and David way off balance, can't get much on the throw. Although it is a one-hopper, just too much momentum taking him away from first base.
So the Dodgers have their 6th hit. 1 out and 1 on for the veteran Juan Uribe, who came into the double switch last inning. It's been a struggle for Uribe, as it has been from the day he signed a free agent contract with the Dodgers after his heroics for the Giants in their world title 3 years ago.
Juan Uribe is one of those hitters that is an all or nothing type hitter. A couple of seasons ago, the Mets pitchers had a lot of effectiveness getting ahead and then going up in the strike zone.
Uribe hit just 191 for the Dodgers last year, 204 the year before. There goes the runner, a hit and run play, and he fouls it off.
Uribe had the one terrific second half of the Giants when they went to the World Series and won.
He hit a career high 24 home runs that year, drove in 85. The Giants had so many guys like that on that 2010 team.
Cody Ross, Pat Burrell.
And then last year, Marco Scutaro. And sometimes you need your bit guys to play starring roles in order to have those magical seasons. And the Giants have done that twice. Of course, it also helps to have great pitching. 2-1 to Uribe. Uribe now 34 years old, started out his career with the Rockies, then 5 years with the White Sox before coming over to the National League with the Giants in 09. He played hit and run earlier in the count, which is an interesting thing to do with a hitter like Uribe.
Well, you know, he's struggling so much that maybe they're just trying to open up a hole for him somewhere. Sellers got good speed. We saw on the infield hit.
Straight away, all the way around, big gaps in the outfield for Uribe to drive the ball.
And Lyon misses away and now falls behind him 3-1.
Uribe's had a tough go of it, but this is where he's most dangerous. When you have to throw him a fastball when he's ahead in the count, he's going to let it fly.
He doesn't get cheated. He's a high ball hitter. Slider, he's got a good one, so why not go with it?
And he walked him. And now the Dodgers have 2 men on with Carl Crawford coming up. Take you back to the 3rd inning. John Neese, 1 out and nobody on, and Mark Ellis at the plate. Struck him on the lower right leg. The word we got was a contusion. They took x-rays, no break. So that's the good news. And then the question is, how long will Neese be out? And that's the unknown. So here's Crawford, who's 0 for 3, a fly ball and 2 ground balls.
Well, hopefully with Jonathan it's just a bruise and he won't miss a side and won't miss a start. We'll see.
Crawford 3 for 10 in his career against Brandon Lyon. And he's having trouble throwing strikes now. After walking Uribe, now he's 2-0 on Crawford.
It's been one of those nights for pitchers, huh?
Yeah. Kershaw struggled with his control. Neese walked 3 in 1 inning. And Lyon, who had no walks before walking Uribe, here 2-0 on Crawford.
So a dangerous spot against a good hitter. On 2-0, Crawford takes below the knees.
Yep. He didn't fish after that sinker, did he, Ron?
Nope.
So this will be a take all the way.
Well, that's what we said yesterday about Worth.
I hear you. I hear you. I don't think Carl's going to be swinging here.
There's a strike, 3-1. Mark Ellis, who's 3 for 3 with a home run tonight, is waiting on deck.
Okay, you've got a sinker ball pitcher out there. You're 3-1 in a tight ball game. Do not try to hit a 3-run home run here. Look for that sinker away and drive into left center field. He's got to come with a strike here. If he throws you a breaking ball, you can spit on it.
3-1 to Crawford, and he fouls it away. And Lyons worked his way back to 3-2.
Oh.
Well, the Mets have to go to the bullpen early because of the knees injury. Rob Carson, in his first big league outing of the year, not only pitched those 2 1/3, also drew a walk and scored a run. Scott Atchison was perfect for an inning and a third, and now Lyon trying to wind his way through what has been a difficult 7th with Josh Edgin ready to pitch next. Getting ready for Adrian Gonzalez, who is 3 batters away. 3-2 to Crawford. Good speed at second with Sellers. Not so good with Uribe at first. Sellers runs, grounded to the right side. Murphy does not have a play at second and gets the out at first. So by putting the runners in motion, the Dodgers stay out of the double play.
They sure do here. And Murph got plenty of time. This is a good move by Murph, because it's a hard hit ground ball. You got time to see if you can get that lead out, maybe get 2. If you don't have it, go to first. Nicely done. So he would have maybe, I think he would have had the runner at second, but in this case, late in the ball game, you don't want to. You want to play it safe.
So now Ellis, and of course you have to go after Ellis because you got Matt Kemp standing on deck. Ellis 3 for 3 today, single to left. Then he hit the shot off Neese that knocked him out of the game, and then hit his first home run of the year against Carson in the 5th, the 100th home run of Ellis's career. Tie game, 7th inning, 2nd and 3rd and 2 out. And Lyon buries one of the dirt. Ball 1.
And Ellis 5 for 10 with runners in scoring position in this young season.
He's had 3 career at bats against Brandon Lyon, and one of the 3 he hit one of his 99 other home runs. Lyon using the full windup with runners 2nd and 3rd. And Ellis takes a strike, 1-1. Heavy lifting for Brandon Lyon here in the 7th inning.
See, you got RBI situation right there. The pitcher missed 1-0 and he throws you a fastball. You got to be ripping the bat on a fastball. This is not a spot to tire a pitcher.
I think he's thinking more about getting a walk and getting Kemp to the plate.
Well, Kemp's struggling, and you know what? I'm 5 for 10 with men on base. I'm hitting .311 coming into this game. Swing the bat.
With a 3 for 3 tonight, Ellis is hitting .344. And he fouls away that one. That's 2-2.
He got a pitch to hit there, but missed it.
This was a kind of a slider that stayed up, got it away, but stayed flat.
Sellers at third, Uribe at second with 2 down. Two to Ellis. Breaking ball fouled back.
Pretty good breaking ball here, Ron. A little down tilt. Good spot. Pretty good at swing right there. Makes me think he might be vulnerable in. He's got to be protecting the plate. Mark McGuire, the hitting coach for the Dodgers.
Again, the 2-2.
Slug down the left field line, back toward the corner, and it's out of here. Wow. Mark Ellis with his 2nd home run of the night. This one a 3-run shot. And the Dodgers take a 5-2 lead. So Ellis not only reaches 100 home runs tonight, he reaches 500 RBIs for his career. A 4 for 4, 2 home run, 4 RBI night for Ellis, and it's 5-2 LA.
Well, that'll get your bench fired up. Let's see the pitch. Away, hang and slide out. Oh yeah, oh boy, on a tee. There you go.
Just don't know in this game, right? All the powerful hitters in that Dodger lineup. That's a little older second baseman that has the big night.
3rd time in his career, Mark Ellis has hit 2 home runs in a game. The last time came in 2008 when he was playing for Oakland in a game in Arizona. And he comes to Citi Field with all the sluggers in that lineup, and it's Ellis who puts the big hurting on the Mets tonight. Here's Matt Kemp taking a strike, and it's 1-1.
I just felt after that swing he had, Ronnie, in that good slider down and away, that he was protecting the plate, that he was going to be vulnerable inside, and you throw up a hanger. Well, that's baseball.
First home run allowed by Brandon Lyon in the Mets uniform. And now he gets ahead on Kemp, 1-2.
But Kemp does not look comfortable at the plate. Kemp, when he's going good, his power is to right center. He's the kind of guy that can drive the ball that way, kind of spinning out.
Well, if you remember, Kemp in 2010, after a breakout season the year before, just had a miserable year and was not able to get himself right at all season. And came out like a house of fire in 2011, had an MVP caliber year, got off to a great start again last year. Curveball popped up. Lagares coming into shallow center. And that retires the side, but a big swing by Mark Ellis, not his first of the night. Put a hurting on Nice with a line drive back to the mound, and since then he's hit him where nobody can get hurt except the fan. 2 home runs for Ellis, 5-2 LA in the 7th. Harvey makes his 5th start, trying to go to 5-0 on the year. Ted Lilly comes off the disabled list to pitch for the Dodgers. Our coverage begins at 6 o'clock tomorrow night right here on SNY. Jordani Valdespin announced as a pinch hitter, and so the Dodgers are going to make a pitching change and bring a left-hander into the game after Ronald Belisario had gone to the mound. So instead it'll be Paco Rodriguez to come in and face Valdespin. 5-2 LA in the 7th. We'll be right back. Ellis that put the Dodgers in the lead.
This is where the pitching coach will ask, you know, what you throw there, what were you thinking, what was your thought process, and that'll be a hanging slider that will be thought of well into the evening. The next day.
22-year-old Paco Rodriguez comes on to pitch for the Dodgers.
Steven Paco Rodriguez, after Mark Ellis, their second baseman, the Gator, University of Florida, has had a big night. Also a Gator, and Paco Rodriguez.
Rodriguez was the first member of last year's draft class to make it to the big leagues. Pitched in 11 games with the Dodgers last year. He's done a good job so far this year. Jordani Valdespin stays in to face the funky left-hander, and that misses outside. He's got a lot of deception.
Well, the interesting thing you'll watch, guys, is that he takes the ball immediately out of the glove, kind of shows it to you, and then delivers it to the plate. Rodriguez has that tremor of the glove where he shakes it a little bit like Ryan Dempster, not as pronounced. The reason he does that, he wants to make sure he does not give the pitches away. Very closed. See how he presents the ball?
Oh, wow.
Out of his glove, and like a crane of an arm delivers out to the plate.
Valdespin trying to bunt his way on. 1-2.
I would think it'd be hard, Ronnie, to throw hard because you're not really you're not really bringing your arm down, and nothing's in sync. And that's his deception, his motion. But
it's almost like he just takes his arm and tries to throw it back into second base or center field, plant it there, and then deliver it to the plate. It's a big, strong kid.
Breaking ball, and he strikes out Valdespin for the first out.
He'll throw 3 pitches out of there: a split changeup, a fastball sinking, and then that slider away. Good pitch. Oh, that grip's a little different than that two-seam or fastball we saw the prior pitch. And that real torque of the wrist to turn that ball over.
So 1 out and nobody on. Now Juan Lagares makes his second big league plate appearance. Flied out to left field his first time up after coming in a double switch. Lagares called up today. Kirk Neuenhuis sent back to Las Vegas to get some at bats. And the 24-year-old Lagares playing in his first big league game. Ball to strike.
If I'm pitching against Lagares, the first thing I see when he steps in the box, how far away from the plate he is. That would be the first thing I would look at.
Why?
Because I'm saying to myself, if he's that far away, that outside corner, I've got to be able to dot. And it's got to be a strength for me.
Did you always check?
Oh, yeah.
Did you always check?
I want to see exactly where you are.
Okay.
I remember one of the catchers, as we see Josh Edgen, for the Philadelphia Phillies, Ozzie Virgil.
Yeah.
He moved up on the plate with 2 strikes occasionally, looking for that ball in. Or maybe away.
Maybe your splitter. Oh, moved inside the plate?
Yeah.
Closer?
Closer.
Lagares has his first big league hit. So in his second at bat, Lagares is on the board.
Yep.
And they will get that ball and keep it for posterity.
Congratulations to Juan. Gets it done in quick order. High fastball.
He was hitting over 340 in Las Vegas. Had a pretty good at bat his first time up, and now has his first big league hit. It's all the number 1.
Nice swing. Very nice swing.
So 1 out and 1 on. Now Ruben Tejada, just the 4th hit of the night for the Mets. Tejada walked and scored in the 3rd, otherwise 0 for 2. There's your Volkswagen Mets box score. A couple of hits for Daniel Murphy. Lagares with his first big league hit. Murphy and Wright with the RBIs. But the Mets 3 runs shy as they bat in the 7th because of the heroics of Mark Ellis. 4 for 4 with a pair of homers and 4 RBIs for the Dodgers. Good off-speed pitch by Rodriguez. 0-2.
He's got good sinking action on that fastball, doesn't he?
Yep.
Heavy.
Yep. This be tough on left-handers with that changeup too. He doesn't give it away, and it's a type of motion as a hitter you can't get a rhythm on.
Rodriguez played in 3 consecutive College World Series with the University of Florida, a mainstay out of their bullpen. So even though he's light on professional experience, he's been through the wars. And the Dodgers picked him in the 2nd round last year. It wasn't a 1st round pick, but what they saw was a guy who would be major league ready, and that's exactly what he's been.
Well, we saw that for a while, didn't we, with Houston Street and the Mets? One season drafted Eddie Coons, who was a guy who was a closer in college, thinking that they'd be ready within the year because they had that job in college.
Just off the plate to Tejada, 1-2.
And that just goes to show that you don't. They mostly like to find the guys with the golden arms that throw bullets. Well, this young man is not a hard thrower by any stretch of the imagination, but he knows what he's doing out there. Typical left-hander, Ronnie.
Ever seen a guy who throws his glove at you and darts the ball like that?
Not in a long time. You know, when you look at some of the right-handers, Jason Mott, guys that used to be catchers, kind of short-arm the ball up there. It's a little similar to that, but I've never seen a lefty really do it.
It's very peculiar.
Tejada's worked his way back to 2-2. And now 3-2. Every time it seems with Ruben. Gets to 0-2 and finds his way to 3-2.
Look at first and just throws that arm straight out.
He tucks that glove under his arm, under his armpit.
Lagares at first with 1 out. 3-2 to Tejada with Murphy on deck. And Ruben bounces one down to 3rd. Uribe gets the out at 2nd, and that's all. So Lagares erased for the 2nd out.
Well, Lagares coming in here with the slide and does a good job. Pops up, gets in the way. Nicely done. Very clean. Congratulations on your first hit.
So now Murphy, who has 2 of the Mets' 4 hits tonight, trying to get on base to get right to the plate as the tying run. Murphy drove in the Met first run with a 3rd inning single, and he takes a slider off the plate from Rodriguez. They've got the right-hander up in the bullpen for the Dodgers, so this will probably be Rodriguez's last batter. If Murphy gets on, they'll bring in a right-hander to face right, and it's the hard-throwing Kenley Jansen getting ready for L.A. Dodgers have an interesting bullpen in that they have harder throwers in the 7th and 8th than they have in the 9th.
So Jansen, who is from Curacao, he was a closer for a while, has a great cut fastball that he throws from 92 to 95, and Brandon League has been their closer after coming over in a trade last season.
Now Rodriguez behind on Murphy, 2-0. Murph takes a hack, 2-1. Clayton Kershaw went just 5 innings, allowed 2 runs and 3 hits. Ronald Belisario now pitcher of record on the long side after working at 1-2-3-6.
2-0 slider. And he shook him off. Another slide piece.
And that caught the inside edge. Murphy didn't think so.
And unintended. That's the back. Nothing gets a hitter more angry than a pitcher throws a backup slider. You stay in, and it's tight and hits the inside corner. And you got to take it because it's going to crowd you. And it's meant to be outside. Now instead of 3-1, you're 2-2.
Going right back at it. Fingernail polished Ellis with the cotton sign.
And Murphy, it's a lazy fly to shallow right center. Ethier comes well in, and that retires the side. A hit and one left after 7. 5-2 Dodgers. To play.
This year, SNY is reaching out with the SNY Play Ball Award presented by New York Community Bank, offering $5,000 grants to local leagues in need of help. To apply, visit facebook.com/SNY today.
John Mattingly sharing thoughts with Hanley Ramirez. Hanley was part of that championship Dominican team in the World Baseball Classic, but hurt his thumb in the final game. Josh Edgen will pitch in the 8th inning for New York.
Well, no one needs a good appearance more than Josh Edgen. He needs to go out there and get himself a 1-2-3. It's been a struggle with his control, and it's been a struggle with the home run ball too.
Adrian Gonzalez, first man to face him. And he takes a slider outside. Tim Federowicz, the third string catcher for the Dodgers. He's probably going back to the minor leagues tomorrow when they activate Ted Lilly from the disabled list to make the start. Ramon Hernandez is the number 2 catcher. Came over in the trade from Colorado when the Dodgers dealt Aaron Harang. It's funny how things work out. The Dodgers had 8 starting pitchers coming out of spring training. They traded Harang because there was no room at the end. They had Capuano in the bullpen, Lilly on the disabled list. So Greinke gets hurt, and Capuano gets hurt, and Chad Billingsley gets hurt. Billingsley's out for the year, Tommy John surgery. And they're left with 4 starters. Funny how that works.
And Sunday they pitched a youngster, Stephen Fife, right-hander, who got the start.
By the way, not a great day for Defiance, Ohio.
No.
You know, Neese and Billingsley were buddies in Little League growing up. So in the same day, Billingsley goes down with Tommy John surgery, and Neese gets struck in the ankle and has to leave the game. 3-2 to Gonzalez. Gonzalez has walked, fly down, and struck out. 0 for 2. Dodgers led 1-0. Mets went up 2-1 in the 3rd. Ellis's first home run tied the game in the 5th, and his second home run put the Dodgers ahead in the 7th. Broken bat looper, shallow left center, and that'll fall for a hit. So Gonzalez aboard to lead off the 8th inning. Let's check in with the studio. Gary Apple has a game break presented by your Tri-Honda dealer. And Justin Upton homering in both ends of the doubleheader, now has 11 for the season.
And that's the second time this year that they've hit home runs in the same inning.
Well, they did it to win a game earlier this season. So here's Federowicz. Looking for his first hit. And Edgen falls behind him 2-0. Federowicz out of the University of North Carolina. He's had a couple of cups of coffee with the Dodgers the last 2 years. Considered the catcher of the future for the team. 2-1. Came over in a trade from the Red Sox. Dodgers now with 8 hits, the Mets with 4. Edgen trying to get his season righted after a rocky start, and Federowicz pops it up. And Murphy tracking it. 1 away. So 1 out and 1 on, and now Andre Ethier is 0 for 3. Ethier now 0 for his last 12. The Dodgers had a 6-game losing streak that they snapped yesterday, coming from behind to win in Baltimore in the final game of that series. This is a team from which much is expected. They have a $216 million payroll, the highest in the game. And you would have to think that with that comes a lot of pressure on their manager to succeed this year.
Well, I agree. I think that he knows it. When you're given that kind of team payroll, you're not expected to finish second. You got to finish first. And also, you know, their rivals have done pretty well the last 2 out of 3 years.
Oh, and 2 to Ethier. Well, they traded for the big contracts of Carl Crawford and Adrian Gonzalez. They shelled out $159 million to sign Zach Greinke in the offseason, and now he's going to miss half a year with a collarbone injury. Kemp's got the big contract. Ethier, Hanley Ramirez, another guy whose contract they took on last year. Josh Beckett. I mean, they took on an enormous amount of money in that deal with the Red Sox. And Ethier tries to hold, and they say that he did. Tim Timmons with the call.
He did. He held. He held. No, it's close.
Well, you know, it's interesting. Remember, Ethier was struck out in his first at bat when Mike Winters called it a swing, and he wanted him to check it. Well, he checked and he got the call.
It's Ted Lilly, who starts tomorrow night for the Dodgers, coming off shoulder surgery. Breaking ball down the right field line, an extra base hit for Ethier. Gonzalez very slow. He'll go to third and be held up there. Ethier stops at second with his 4th double of the year. So he got the call on the half swing, and he comes back with a double, and it's 2nd and 3rd and 1 out.
Well, Keith, you and I have been talking about the slider. It's been flat from Edgen.
Yep, he's got no downward tilt. So as a hitter, Gary, lefty, from my experience, when you have a flat slider, when it leaves the hand, you read the spin, and you know it's going to break away. It's going to stay on the same plane. And so you can start your swing at the level here. And this is just good. Didn't get it out of way enough.
Well, the numbers have gotten kind of ugly early in the season for Josh Edgen. Jairus Familia gets up in the bullpen now. And with the Mets now carrying 3 lefties in the bullpen, Edgen's spot on this roster gets more tenuous by the day. Missing inside to A.J. Ellis, 1-0. Mets have Pedro Feliciano down in extended spring training. They hope sometime before the season's over to get Tim Burdack back. Those things are down the road, but right now, Agent has to really right himself in a hurry. Mets have to make a move with a reliever on Saturday, which Sean Markham is activated. This one's driven to deep left center field. That goes Duda in the gap, and that one's off the base of the wall. Gonzalez is in. Ethier right behind him. A 2-run double for A.J. Ellis, and the Dodgers now lead 7-2. And it's all kind of coming apart for Josh Agent.
A bloop to start it off, and then two balls hitting well, two doubles, line drives, one down the right field line, and this one here in the gap. And I don't know what Gonzalez is thinking. I mean, come on, let's go. I'm going to outrun you here.
I think the problem, and I think you make a good point, Gary. You know, you can't fix yourself here. You need to go down and fix yourself. I think the problem for Edgin, as I see it, is that everything's the same speed. You know, his fastball is sharp. Fast. His breaking ball is fast too. So everything's about the same speed. Nothing to fool the hitter.
Remember also that Josh Edgin, who was a 30th round draft pick, and then came to the big leagues in an awful hurry. And you know, we saw him last spring training, and he had some success, and he came up early in the year last year and enjoyed some more success. And sometimes your career isn't a straight line, and he has taken an inevitable step backward. Now the question is how quickly he can right himself. Justin Sellers is 2 for 3 today. A bloop single and an infield hit. He's driven in a run and scored a run. Dodgers now with 7 runs and 10 hits. That's have to go to their bullpen early today after John Neese left with an injury in the third. Good fastball, 2-2. So Carson, Atchison, Lyon, and now Edgin. The nice part about having to spend your bullpen, as Matt Guerrier gets up in the bullpen for the Dodgers, is having your big guy going the next night. And again, you don't want to put too much on Matt Harvey's shoulders, but that's how it comes down on this team right now.
That's the call. I mean, you'd like the luxury of not having to do that, but you can't. You have the bottom of the rotation that's struggling. Dylan G with a nice performance on Sunday. You might have lost one of your capable starters tonight. You don't know how Jonathan Neese is going to feel tomorrow. That's how it goes. Go get him, Matt.
Because it's not just about picking up the other starters. Now it becomes about picking up the bullpen as well and getting deep into the game tomorrow.
Picking up the bullpen, and it's almost in a spot where every time he starts, you got to win. The team's got to win.
Now a 3-2 count to the number 8 hitter Sellers, and he drives one to right center field, and that's in for a base hit. Ellis had to hold off. He'll go to third and stop there. But that's the 4th hit of the inning, and the last 3 all struck pretty well. And the Dodgers have first and third with 2 runs already home, and that's going to be all for Josh Edgin.
Well, down and in goes the other way. The lead runner here. So, what are you doing, Slugger? Come on, that's a base hit all the way. Take away my ribeye steaks.
So the Mets will make a double switch. Ike Davis will come in the game. Jairus Familia comes out of the bullpen, and the Mets will make another pitching change here in the 8th inning. 7-2 LA. We'll be right back to Citi Field. Eighth where the pitcher had been. Justin Turner moves from first base to second base, and the new pitcher Jay Reese Familia will bat second.
Well, in this game that's 7-2, 5 runs down of the Mets, this is a chance for Familia to kind of right the ship, as he's had a hard time throwing strikes so far.
Not an easy night for a couple of Met left-handers. John Neese getting knocked out of the game after being struck with a batted ball in the third, and now Josh Edgin having another rough time of it.
Well, you know, we talked about it. I just think everything's the same speed. His slider's flat, and you know, he just hasn't hit his spots. I mean, you know, it happens to a lot of pitchers, and doesn't have that much experience. When you struggle without a lot of experience, it's hard for you to sometimes get out of that place.
Familia comes in to face Juan Uribe, who's up for the second time.
Well, the one thing I've seen from Josh is that when he gets hurt with his fastball down in the strike zone. And you think that's what the pitchers would want to do, pitch at the knees, but I think he's better served upstairs with that good fastball of his.
Third appearance for Familia. One right at the start of the year, and then one since his recall. Mets have made some moves with their bullpen already this year, and there will certainly be more moves to come as they try and figure out that unit. First and third and one out. 2 runs home for the Dodgers here in the 8th. And Uribe fouls one back.
He always takes a rip.
He had maybe the most important at bat in that 7th inning against Brandon Lyon. The last guy in the world you figure is going to take a walk with 1 out and 1 on. He did walk on a 3-1 pitch, and that set the stage for Mark Ellis' 2-out 3-run homer that gave the Dodgers the lead. Familia looking for the double play ball, and he gets the strikeout instead. We'll take that. That's the second out of the inning.
You know, things can be very easy for Familia if he gets ahead of the hitters. He has that wipeout slider. Big break, fooling Uribe.
So now 2 out, runners still at the corners, and here's Carl Crawford, who's gone 0 for 4 tonight. Crawford for many years the face of the then Devil Rays. Found it very intriguing what Evan Longoria said earlier this year about needing to change the identity of their ball club, that some guys were still stuck in the Devil Rays years, and it almost sounded like he was making a backhanded slap at a guy like Crawford, who was such a big part of the Rays for a long time when they weren't very good and transitioned to when they started being very good.
I don't know how much more you can ask of a player like Crawford. It's not easy sometimes to play on a team that is year in and year out. When he began his career, Gary, just awful.
I mean, he was the reason to come and watch that team play. He was a tremendous star. The star may have dimmed a little bit because of injury, but still a big time player.
Well, I think that, you know, the Devil Rays, before they became the Rays, their problem was they were in between. Do we develop players or do we sign free agents? You know, I think they signed Vaughn right after a couple of big home runs. They signed Jose Canseco at the end of their careers.
A.J. Ellis has had the big night. 4 for 4, a couple of home runs, 4 RBIs.
The Ellis boys have had a night. Excuse me, Sellers and Mark Ellis have had the big nights. 3 hits apiece.
Davis handles his first chance, and that retires the side. So Familia comes in to get a couple of outs. But A.J. Ellis's 2-run double makes it 7-2 LA in the 7th. He'll hit in the 5 spot where the pitcher had been, and the new pitcher Matt Career will hit number 1.
Well, until last year, he had been an Ironman, Matt Career, 5 years in a row of 70 or more appearances in Minnesota, and then 1 year in Los Angeles.
David Wright will lead off for the Mets in the bottom of the 8th. Mets now down by 5 runs after the Dodgers got 3 in the 7th and 2 in the 8th. Wright 1 for 2 and a walk tonight, drove in a run in the 3rd with a base hit. At the time, it gave the Mets a 2-1 lead. Matt Career now 34 years old, and Wright fouls one away. Missed most of last year with elbow tendonitis. Pitched in only 16 games. Appears to be healthy now.
There was a day when pitchers had surgery on their elbow or shoulders. Most of them were done.
Game over. Now they come back all the time.
I had 2 operations on my elbow. I wasn't done, but it did take a little petrol out of there. Didn't have the same giddy up anymore.
Now, when you had your surgeries, were those arthroscopic or were those open?
One started as arthroscopic, and then it turned into something more than that. And the second one was, yeah, just in there for bone chips.
What did they discover in there that what they didn't think was there before?
There's things that they had to shave off the bone.
Oh.
Yeah. They thought the bodies were floating, but they were attached.
Like barnacles.
Yes, exactly. Very good.
That's an excellent.
Very good, Garrett. Excellent.
Doesn't sound so excellent.
Doesn't sound excellent if it was your elbow.
Those razor clams.
Love razor clams. Little looper behind second, and Mark Ellis is there. And Wright is retired, 1 down in the bottom of the 8th. A couple of little spots down in Chinatown.
That's right.
Those great razor.
Oh, yeah.
Black bean sauce. Little Chinese broccoli on the side.
You know what? After this a long game, it'll be perfect, right? I gotta get you in the city, Gary.
Well, we'll be down at City Hall tomorrow for the All-Star announcement tomorrow morning at 11:30. If you guys want to come. Here's John Buck, and he takes the curveball on. So we won't be all that far.
Are you going to stay in the city tonight? Because you could go to Chinatown tonight.
Marlon Byrd waiting on deck. The Dodgers 7 runs, 11 hits. The Mets 2 runs and 4 hits. And another curve from Guerrero in for a strike, 1-2. Dodgers have got 2 scoreless innings out of their bullpen from Belisario and Rodriguez as they've taken the lead late in the game. And Buck hits one deep to left. Back goes Schumacher to the track. Back at the wall right there to make the catch. Wind blowing in tonight, and you can see that in the final strides.
Another big rip just got under it. He knew it. Close but no cigar.
No Cuban for sure. Marlon Byrd swings and misses. Bird's gone 0 for 3 tonight with a couple of strikeouts.
Yeah, Marlon looks like he's kind of a little out of his groove. Looks a little bit out of sync up there.
It's this one to dead center. Jason Kemp back, but plenty of room out there. And that retires the side. So the Mets are out 1-2-3 in the bottom of the 8th. On to the 9th we go. Dodgers 7, Mets 2. Night is darkening in the big city. We're almost 3.5 hours into this game. Some lights are on, some are blinking off. Big night of sports in the big town. Looks like the Knicks are comfortably ahead.
Well, they up 15.
Jarius Familia will pitch the 9th inning. Josh Wall gets up in the Dodger bullpen, getting ready for the bottom of the 9th. Mark Ellis has never had a 5-hit game. He's got a chance for one right now. 4 for 4, 2 homers, 4 RBIs in the 9th for the veteran Ellis. Singled sharply to left against Nice in the first. Singled off the leg of Nice, knocking him out of the game in the third. Hit a home run against Rob Carson in the 5th, and a 3-run shot to give the Dodgers the lead against Brandon Lyon in the 7th. And Familia misses away with that 95-mile-an-hour fastball, 1-1. Clayton Kershaw went 5 innings to a no decision tonight. 111 pitches in those 5 innings, thus the short outing for the Dodger ace. And Ellis tried to hold, but he went around 1-2. With Kershaw tonight, Ted Lilly tomorrow, and Hyun-Jin Ryu pitching for the Dodgers on Thursday afternoon, the Mets are facing 3 lefty starters in this series. It's the first time that's happened since 2009, when the Phillies sent Jay Happ, Cole Hamels, and Jamie Moyer against the Mets in a series. 2-2 now to Ellis.
The reason it doesn't happen that often is that most managers try to put a right-hander in there between all their left-handers, but Josh Beckett did not have a good start in his last start and wanted to keep the left-handers against the Mets.
I remember a time very briefly, it was probably right after you left in the early 90s, that the Mets had 4 lefties in their rotation.
Really?
As Ellis is retired for the first time tonight. So Familia goes where no Met has gone before in this game.
Frankie V.
Frankie V. Sid.
Okay.
Hillman. Sorry. Hillman. That had been Hillman. Pete Shurik.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, it wasn't for very long, but there was a point where the Mets had the 4 lefties in their rotation. Here's Matt Kemp, who's gone 1 for 4 tonight. Eric Hillman was 6'11".
Yep.
Didn't throw particularly hard. He wound up pitching in Japan. Can you imagine Hillman getting through doorways in Japan?
That's right.
How about the subways? You know what goes on in those subways?
Well, at least he could breathe above the crowd.
Was he a little bit like Mark Hendrickson? Is that the kind of pitcher he was? Tall and kind of sinker slider guy?
Don't remember that well. I think more like a left-handed Chris Young.
Oh, okay.
Big rip by Kemp, and it's 0-2.
You know, it's hard to judge, but this is the best that Familia's thrown since he's been up in the major leagues.
I agree, and it's a good game for him. He's struggled. It's no pressure, and he's throwing 96. I haven't seen him get it up there that quick.
But on the corners, little effort.
Now the 0-2, and the slider couldn't get Kemp to chase. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Familia, the 6th Met pitcher of the night. Mets forced to go to the bullpen early because of the injury to Nice in the 3rd. The word on Nice, if you're just joining us, a contusion to his lower right leg after being struck by a drive off Mark Ellis's bat in that 3rd inning. Left in a good deal of pain, and the hope is certainly that he won't miss any time if see how he responds tomorrow. .96 from Familia inside, 3-2. And that, my friends, was a Cholula hot sauce flamethrower. That 96-mile-an-hour fastball.
It doesn't have to be a strike to beat Cholula.
Hey,
come on.
When you sprinkle the Cholula, sometimes it goes off the edge of the plate.
We cannot lower the bar here.
And Kemp smacks one to deep right center field. Back goes Lagares, watching it hit the wall. Plays the carom nicely, but Kemp will cruise into second with a long double.
So Matt Kemp, after 3 hits in his last game Sunday, a 2-hit game tonight.
His 5th double of the year. Remember, no home runs out of Kemp thus far. That's a fastball inner half that he opts to go the other way with.
He's close to being right. We talked about his power to right center. If he's hitting the ball there, he's getting close.
Just off that X and that Xerox sign.
73 at bats now for Kemp and getting closer to that first home run of the season. Here's Adrian Gonzalez, who had a broken bat single his last time up. 1 for 3 and a walk tonight. He scored 2 runs. 12 hits now for the Dodgers, just 4 for the Mets. Ball and a strike to Gonzalez. Skip Schumacher, who came in the double switch last half inning, waiting on deck. That's a nice, useful pickup for the Dodgers, huh? Schumacher, who can play on the infield or in the outfield for you. Good guy to have on your bench, left-hand bat. Pitch by Familia and on his hands, and it's 1-2.
Well, I remember when Schumacher was an outfielder and the Cardinals didn't have anyone in the infield, and then tried him out there in spring training, and he made the club and did a great job there.
These are the diehards. They love baseball.
1-2 from Familia, and he goes away. 2-2. It is a true test of the fan spirit on a chilly night when your team's down 5 runs in the ninth.
Yep. Shades of Candlestick Park on a cold night in the 70s.
And Gonzalez down swinging, 97. That's a real Cholula from Familia for the second out. 3rd strikeout for Familia. Let's check in with the studio, see what's coming up on WB Mason Post Game Live. Chris and Bobby. Here's Skip Schumacher up for the first time. With 2 out and Kemp at second, and Schumacher chases the high fastball, 0-1. Well, along with the diehard fans, the scouts can't go anywhere.
No, they can go up to the press room and watch on TV. Sneak it in. They can.
Wouldn't that be fudging?
I tell you what, Familia's throwing fastballs by people.
Well, there's never been a question about Familia's ability. He had been a starter throughout his minor league career and made the transition to the bullpen at the big league level last year. Oh, and 2 to Schumacher. And he drives one to center. Lagares got turned around, but he finds it and makes the catch to end the inning. A double and 1 left. Mets will come up in the bottom of the 9th, down 7-2.
far for Josh, but they have high hopes for him. Tall, rangy, 6'6", 225 pounds, has all the pitches, but again, another one struggling so far with his control early here. Well, let's hope not tonight.
Lucas Duda leads off the last of the ninth for New York. Mets have been held to just 4 hits tonight. They got 3 of them against Clayton Kershaw in the first 5 innings. Only 1 in 3 innings against the Dodger bullpen. Duda's 0 for 3, struck out twice and hit a comebacker. The captain and the manager in conversation. And the breaking ball in for a strike from Wall. Justin Turner on deck, then Ike Davis for the Mets.
David looks like he's got a mouthful of sunflower seeds.
And a check swing, and he went around.
It's getting late.
Tim Timmons with the call down to third.
Smith and Walensky's calling this umpiring crew for a little late night steak.
Justin Turner waits on deck. 0-2 coming to Duda, and he struck him out on 3 pitches. Good slider by Wall to get him. 1 down in the last of the ninth.
Well, that down and in pitch, because left-handers like to pitch down and in. So if you start it there and break it out of that zone, seems to be a very effective pitch for Wall. And actually, pretty good pitch sequence for him. You can see why the Dodgers are kind of high on this kid. It's a matter of commanding his stuff.
Been in the Dodger farm system since 2005 when he signed out of high school as a 2nd-round pick. Here's Justin Turner, who's 0 for 3 tonight. Started the game at first base, moved over to second. And Turner takes a fastball for a strike. It's an easy 94 from Wall.
The one thing we've seen, because Kershaw was not Kershaw, is the arms that are coming out of that bullpen for the Dodgers.
Out to right field, chasing Ethier back a few steps. 2 out. So Wall's retired the first 2, and the Mets are down to their last out, and Ike Davis will bat for the first time tonight. Davis came in on a double switch in the 8th. Ted Lilly set to make his season debut tomorrow night for the Dodgers against the Mets' Matt Harvey, who has put up historically great numbers over his first 4 starts of the year. And if the electricity that was here in the building in Harvey's last start translates to tomorrow night, it should be yet another fun event. There's a strike to Davis. You don't get to face Steven Strasburg every time you go to the mound.
Right.
But I would think Harvey in and of himself has become the attraction in a very short period of time. And quickly a 2-strike count on Davis. Ike hitting just 167, another lost month of April for him.
This is a high fastball with a high target, too. That's where they want it.
Too high. 96 from Wall. 1-2.
94, 95, 96. Probably see that same slider he threw to Duda down and in here now.
Now the 1-2. And that just missed.
Right. Backdoor curve. They had the corner. That's a wicked pitch, but it was a good call.
He misses with that fastball. Now full count to Davis. If Ike keeps it going, Juan Lagares, who had his first big league hit in his last at bat, will get another turn. Now the 3-2. And Ike strikes out on the breaking ball. A.J. Ellis makes the toss, and that'll do it for this night. Dodgers take the opening game of the series on a huge night for Mark Ellis. 4 for 5, 2 home runs, 4 RBIs, and the Dodgers beat the Mets 7-2.
Well, it's a night where they kind of blew up in the 7th inning with the 3 runs, and the big blow, as Gary said, from Mark Ellis, his first home run, the 3-run shot off Brandon Lyon, has really been doing a good job, but he coughed up a 3-run shot there, and that was the difference in the ball game. 2-run double from A.J. Ellis, the catcher, in the 8th to add on to the lead, and the Mets just was too much to come back.
And the Mets had to use 5 relievers tonight because of the injury to Jonathan Neeson. It's going to be interesting to see if he's going to miss any real time.
3 hours and 36 minutes to complete it. As you look at your City game summary, Ellis with the big night for the Dodgers as they take the opener of the series to knock the Mets down to 500 for the season. New York Mets baseball on SNY is brought to you by Citi. Citi is offering card members the opportunity to enjoy VIP experiences at select Mets games at Citi Field in 2013. Visit CitiPrivatePass.com to learn more. By Xerox. With Xerox, you're ready for real business. By Bob's Discount Furniture, proud to be the furniture store of the New York Mets. By your Tri-State Cadillac dealer. Visit CadillacTristate.com to search local offers and find a dealer near you. And by the New York State Smokers Quit Line. Call 1-866-NY-QUITS for free help today. Dodgers win it 7-2 in the opening game of the series. Tomorrow night, Matt Harvey makes his 5th start against Ted Lilly. Our coverage begins here on SNY tomorrow night at 6 o'clock. Now for Keith Hernandez, Ron Darling, Kevin Burkhardt, and our entire SNY crew, I'm Gary Cohen at Citi Field. Time for WB Mason post-game live. Chris and Bobby in the studio.